Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with and talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! On my way to Monday Night Raw.
Figure out how I want to answer the second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We've got Devin Gordon with us.
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
What's going on? It is November 9th. We are the Turn 2 Terribles, Jimmy, Chris, Jay-Z, and we got a guest tonight, Ryan Smith. The real Ryan Smith. Our real Ryan Smith.
I don't know about that.
Our buddy here. Great show for you guys planned tonight. Planned for you guys tonight. Jesus Christ. Report cards, season finale. We're going to go through pretty much every big sprint car driver's season. There was a form. A lot of you guys filled it out. We appreciate all the participation. We're going to go through. We're going to give our grades. We're going to go over what your grades were, and we're going to talk about them. As always, thanks everybody for tuning in live. Nick Lowe, Santos, EJ, Mandy, Marie, Ethan, Magby, Daniel Lee. What's going on, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning in tonight for the final show for the 2025 season. Sorry for the lazy stumble into the intro here, but how are you guys doing tonight?
Trying to survive, boys.
Chris, you were on your deathbed. You made it.
Fighting hard.
Jay-Z, man, how you doing?
I'm writing some statistics down. Ryan, how are you, sir?
Good. It's kind of weird. Like I'm used to listening to this on Monday morning, so I'm listening to Jimmy do the intro and everything, and I'm waiting for people to respond. I'm like, oh shit, I think it might be my turn.
So
it's a little different being on here than listening to it, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially being live too. There should be some sort of button that you press to, like some sort of 30-second delay, so you can cut out anything I say.
Well, there's not.
Well, if we didn't do that for Chris, we're not doing it for you.
That's fair.
It's fucked up.
The only thing you got to cut out for Chris is his breathing. Sounds like a pug.
Dude, I'm just happy to not be in the hospital right now. We're good.
Pug life.
Let's see. What's this temp at right now?
Oh God, he's doing the temperatures.
No, we're good. Still normal. 98.
There you go. That's good.
Earlier, you tried to tell us his temperature was 94.
94 degree fever.
It was 94 degrees when I drove home today. I don't tell you. That's
buddy,
science.
you would be in the hospital. You'd be dead. Like that's not a real
They
thing.
tried to take me there.
When he
But it
first
was a
joined backstage, he said my fever's up to 98. I was like, 98. I think that's normal.
It was 103 at one point today.
Wait.
Digress.
I think you do. I think you are missing something. You can't say your fever's up to 98. You know, normal's 98.6, right?
Buddy, we both know I'm not normal. Let's get this show in
That's
a
a
row,
fair
baby.
point. That's a fair point. We're gonna probably jump right into the report cards here, but first, we'll see how long this goes. We'll recap the World Finals and everything. Bridgeport last week. We'll talk about that a little bit quick, probably after the report cards. But Ryan, you just got back today from Charlotte. You were at the World Finals. How was your experience? How was it?
Oh, it's awesome. Anybody that says that it needs to be moved away from Charlotte, shut up, because it's fun and it's never going to go anywhere. I think WRG's headquarters is in Charlotte, so it's the perfect place. They get 160 cars. It's not going anywhere. There's NASCAR shops. There's downtown. You got Charlotte, right next door because the track's actually in Concord. So you got Charlotte, the next town over that you can go explore the town or whatever you want to do. There's a giant mall like a mile from the racetrack. Any restaurant you could think of, like it's just the perfect place to, I guess, just get away for a week. And racing starts at 3 o'clock. You're usually done by 9 or 10. So it's a good time. Like it's a great vacation. I would get watching on Dirt Vision. It's probably not the best when streaming companies just want to show the top three spread out all night. But you got Corey Day going 21st to 3rd the one night. Logan took a provisional and finished ninth one night, I think. Sixth, yeah, something like that. He come up through the field, and it's like I doubt you're seeing that on TV, but like watching it in person, it's guys 3 wide the whole way around, and it's awesome. Like it's a lot of fun. The late models are the show. Like I'm a sprint car guy at heart. The big blocks they were decent this year, but the late models are the show. They're 3 lanes wide the whole way around. It's just awesome. It's a lot of fun.
We don't say that very often. They give a lot of late model or mod love. Tyler for being here real quick. So
Tyler actually
in
is
the chat.
He's already here.
There he is.
It's actually he says, "I'm happy to report modified
Okay.
driver Tyler Siri was released from the hospital 2 hours ago." You didn't see that. It was a very, very scary wreck. Ryan, you guys were there. You guys, you could hear a pin drop. You could hear them.
Yeah.
You could hear.
Yeah, we were sitting in. So our section's like the 3rd or 4th one from the end in turn 1, and that crash happened in turn 3, and you could hear them cutting the car. It was so quiet in the place.
Right.
You could hear the backup beeper on the ambulance. They put the car on a rollback when they took it out. You could hear everything like from that far away. It was insane. Like my daughter Charlotte was like banging on the bleachers, and I feel like the people 2 sections over were looking at us. So it was scary. I'm glad that he's all right. It seemed like it was pretty touch and go there for a few minutes, but I'm glad he's all right.
I know watching it was, you don't want to speculate, but you weren't getting really any good news for a little bit. You know what I mean? Nobody really knew what was going on, and
we've all been in those spots at the track where complete silence is the worst thing. Mm-hmm. When they're saying nothing, it's usually bad news. So obviously didn't get away scot-free, has some injuries, but he's alive and he can walk and most of the key things are still working. So seems like he has a decent road to recovery, but I'm glad he's going to be all right.
One of the things you were talking about there, just at this event and kind of, like it's not going to go anywhere and it shouldn't go anywhere. I think a lot of those conversations have kind of derived from just how bad the track has been in the last few years, bunch of years. We didn't really, and honestly, going into this weekend after what we saw last weekend, didn't give me much hope on what we were going to see. Now they were dealt a bad hand of cards, but at the same time, like history repeats itself with that place. And
yeah,
I'll give them their flowers. Like usually was sitting at home watching on television and being there in person. Being in person is usually worse, right? You're getting the dust and the dirt and you can't see. We can see that on Dirt Vision knowing it's pretty bad. It's worse there. What I saw this weekend, maybe minus a few other things, it was pretty damn good all weekend. Like that, it started pretty heavy, but they never really touched it all weekend that I could see a whole lot. And there were some good racing and good shows all throughout the weekend. So whatever they did it, in the off season their off season's like all year, literally a year, but whatever they did, it seems like they got some of the bugs and gremlins worked out in that surface, whether it's something they were doing or the surface itself.
Yeah, I think previous years, like if the big blocks ran before the sprint cars, the sprint car race was taking rubber. And I think it might have been the night gravel won or the night he finished second. They followed up after the big blocks. They were the last feature, and he said, I think everybody here thought we were taking rubber and we weren't expecting a good race. And it was the exact opposite. It was great. It was Rico was running the top, and gravel worked the bottom to get by him. And I think 3 and 4 was starting to get cleaned off a little bit, but the fact they made it 25 laps without taking rubber was pretty wild, because previous history showed us you get them heavy modifieds and heavy late models out there first, you're typically gonna have a lockdown sprint car feature. But it was good all weekend. Yesterday, even with all the rain they got, we showed up. They were doing a flyover, which was really cool. They airplanes flew over, and then they like kind of circled the track for a minute and then flew away. So that was pretty
That's
cool.
pretty cool. Yeah.
But we showed up, and that was at 4 o'clock, and that's when heats were supposed to start, and it was after 4:30, and the track was still soup, and they ran all the hot laps and everything, and my expectations were pretty low, but they they did pretty good getting everything worked back in.
No.
I know they said a few, like last year, I was in the pits and I heard a couple of drivers saying that they couldn't make it more than 25 laps on a set of tires. That's how rough the track is, just so abrasive that everyone wonders, why is the last race of the year 25 laps? What's they can't run any more than that. They're
with
gonna
all the cars
blow
there. I mean,
tires. Yeah.
for the fact that they can run the amount of cars that they do, the amount of laps that they do, and not really have to do that much track prep,
Yeah.
you do got to give them some credit.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing. I mean, you had some guys out there scraping the wall, but other than yesterday when it rained a lot, like you didn't see a whole lot of track prep going on throughout the
Right.
night. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
They're
I think
pretty
this year was probably the best year for racing that I've seen in quite a while. And like you said, Jay-Z, about the dust, I took notice to it a couple times. It was mostly during the modifieds, which I thought was weird. It was a little hard from where we were to see off turn 4, but I mean, I was there the year. I think it was when everything was canceled and it was just COVID. It was 410s only, and they were having to throw cautions because of so much dust the drivers couldn't see. So like every 10 laps, they were throwing a yellow. So it's definitely gotten a lot better. You can't just. It's not like there's concrete underneath. You can just scrape everything off and restart. It's a work in progress, and they're definitely getting there.
Yep, agreed.
Just kind of a quick recap of the World Finals. David Gravel is your 2025 World of Outlaw champion. Rico Abreu won the first night. David Gravel won the second night, and then last night, Buddy Kofoid walked away with the win. David Gravel did break while leading. I'm sure you could probably hear our buddy Nick Lowe when that happened over all the cars and everything else, because he was over the moon about that.
Yeah.
But it was really good racing. Corey Day was charger through the field. He was the show. They did show that on Dirt Vision, so I give them props on that. And yeah, just overall a pretty good World Finals. One of the better ones in recent memory for myself, at least.
Yeah. Being there, I thought the same thing. It was done at a decent time each night.
Yeah.
Racing starts at 4 o'clock, but they have all the qualifying a couple nights before, so they jump right into heats. And we've obviously seen that not work well for them. I think it was 2 years ago when Zeb Wise went into the fence and got knocked out, and we've seen that not work well for him. But I think the way they did it this year, run a couple hot laps with the first heat, whatever, and then I think it worked pretty well.
I'm gonna give a shit out here real quick. Aunt Bay. No, that's the real Ryan Smith. Hi, Chris, Lynn, and Jimmy and Jay-Z. So what's going on, Aunt?
Hi, Aunt.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Aunt.
All right, we're gonna jump into grades. If you haven't seen this before, well, I don't know why it's not showing us all.
Take me off. You don't need to see me.
No, it's all right. Hold on. Why is it not doing that?
I'm fine. Wait. Put you on there. I don't need to be on there.
That's what I'm saying.
There we go.
I'm the dying one. Take me out of here.
What the hell? All right. We'll go here. We'll figure it out here. Guess we don't really usually have 4 people on. So, all right. So all the stats and everything you're going to see here uh, was everything prior to last night. So there'll be a couple stats that aren't up to date. Buddy Kofoid will be sure to win, top fives and top tens and whatever. But everything was up to date as of yesterday. We're gonna and we did 4 different groups. If you filled out the form, and we're gonna do the same format here. First, we're gonna start off with our Central PA guys. We'll go into World of Outlaw, High Limit, and then like a rookie class. And you kind of, just because you're kind of grading them against your immediate competition. So, or however you wanted to grade them, it doesn't really matter. So let's jump right into it. Central PA first driver Anthony Macri. What a season by him. 78 starts, 16 wins, 39 top fives, 53 top tens. He was the King's Royal Champion, won PA Speed Week title, 4 wins at Port Royal, 4 wins at Williams Grove, 3 at Baps, 3 at Lincoln, a win at Eldora, and then Sealands Grove. Won $539,000 this year. Great season for Anthony. And we all agreed A pluses across the board between Jeremy, myself, Chris, and the audience, where the audience did 63% A plus. Really hard to argue it. Ryan, what grade would you give?
I had an A plus. I don't know how you could have anything different. He had a national touring win at every track in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Hit a crown jewel. I mean, you can't get much better than that. And like you said when you preface this segment, is if you compare, him to Rico, you might have Rico as an A plus and Macri an A. But if you compare expectations versus what they did, my expectations for Macri was they're going to have a good year. They're going to win 10, 15 shows, mostly around here. They might top 5, top 10, with the touring series when they travel. But like the touring series come here, and he won the what, three outlaw races or 4 outlaw races, I think.
4.
Yeah, he had 2 at the Grove, 1 at Baps, 1 at Lincoln, and he won a high limit show at Port, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, it's just you can't ask for a much better season. And the King's Royal too. I mean, he won a freaking crown jewel. Like, it doesn't get much better than that.
I think with these grades, and I was thinking about this tonight or today throughout this, thinking about like how I graded people when this comes up. And do you grade it against the other drivers in a similar category? Do you grade it against their last season? Do you grade it against momentum? And I think it's all of the above. And I think all of us, we're going to have our own little methodology. And I wish I would be able to say, hey, I stuck to my methodology for every person, but there's a bar, right? And I think if the A pluses are the bar, you're gonna see Anthony Macri, you're gonna see David Gravel, you're gonna see Rico Abreu, right? If that's the bar off of those guys, what are some of the others? And I don't think that's fair to some of the others, because if you go down the list, it gets worse and worse and worse. Did they really have a C season, or was that for them an improvement? So I think some of the grades we're going to see tonight aren't necessarily where the bar's set with an Anthony Macri and a David Gravel. I think now some of us are going to, because I think the closest competition to these guys, we probably will. The Buddy Kofoids, the Brad Sweets, or the Aaron Reitzels may go off of that bar because we expect that, right? So I think this is going to be an interesting kind of dynamic in how we all look at these. It'll be fun, and the crowd too. But I have comments about the crowd grades. I saw them yesterday. Y'all are too easy on everybody. That's all I'm saying. Y'all are too easy. All right.
I'm probably too
keep
easy
moving.
also, to
Anybody
be
else want
honest.
to talk about Macri and his
Nope.
year? Because Ryan got it.
Yeah, spot on.
Pretty much. So he also won the Sealands Grove National Open, 20% win percentage, 50% top 5 percentage, and 68% top 10 percentage. Doesn't get much better than that. Whether it's here, whether it's on, and a lot of that was on the road. I mean, he had 4 outlaw wins. He had a high limit win, 13 outlaw top 10s, 10 high limit top 10s. Just he was great no matter what the competition. Let's roll into our next one. Danny Dietrich. 83 starts, 12 wins, 45 top fives, 60 top tens, Ohio Speed Week champion, Selinsgrove track champion, 4 wins at BAPS, 2 wins at Lincoln, 2 wins at Selinsgrove and Williamsgrove, and a win at Atomic and Sharon. Myself, Chris, and the audience gave an A. Jeremy, you gave an A+. Ryan, what would you give Danny Dietrich for a grade this year?
I gave him an A. I think it's hard to beat the season they had. Um, Ohio Speed Week champion, uh, 12 wins. Like it's hard to top that. But I think that team's expectations is we should be a high limit or outlaw winner every year. And I think that's if they could have done that easily an A+. But I think that's the one thing that just didn't cross that threshold is like Jay-Z said for Macri, expectations for what we kind of expected out of them versus what they did. I expect them to be just as fast as the traveling guys, and they have the speed, but they just didn't. They didn't win a race. So I think an A is still a great season,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I could very well be. I could see the argument for an A+ easily.
And I agree.
Yeah,
I think Ryan said that's exactly. I went to the A, and honestly, I gave the A, and I forgot about Ohio Speed Week. But the Outlaw High Limit shows not having a win there.
Hmm.
Still a great year. Still a great year. But I think they want to be one of those teams when it's Morgan Cup, Summer Nationals, National Open, Weikert, podiums, wins. Didn't quite have it consistently. So A, solid year, and he'll come back next year and be just as good.
Jay-Z, you went with a plus.
So last year, 2024 is when he won the Weicker, correct? Is
Yes.
that the right year? Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to give you something here. In 2024, he won $257,000 and 12 wins. I don't know what the grade was last year, and I don't even want to go back to compare year to year, but from a grade perspective, but let's think about it. He ran 2 more races than last year. He had 9 more top 5s than last year, and he had 10 more top 10s than last year, and he made almost 50 grand more this year. So then last year, which was a Weikert year, which was 75 grand to win in one race. So wins Ohio Speed Week, second PA Speed Week, 12 wins, 60 top 10s out of 83 races with some traveling. Right, only 23 races outside the top 10 with a bunch of traveling this year. As much as they've done, yeah, I agree. I think that the A+ is, this is borderline for me. I don't want them mad at me or calling me names, either the Dietrich boys, because I didn't give them an A+. I was a little scared of them. But no, in reality, I think this is, obviously they want to, if they ran 83 races, there isn't a driver that's going to sit there and say, I don't want to win 83 races if I run 83
Mhm.
races. But 12 win season again, 45 top 5s out of 83 events is pretty damn good with all the running that they did off our PA porch. So I did go with the plus here because I think, man, even though the Macri is the A+ winning the freaking King's Royal, even though he didn't win a King's Royal or even really a touring show, it's hard to say that, damn, you go home at the end of the night, he's on the beach right now, sipping whatever he's sipping, enjoying all that money he made. So like, this one. I don't think an A is wrong. I don't think an A- was wrong. I just think this is about as good as it gets for him, other than winning some touring shows.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
should
only thing that.
absolutely be proud of that season. There's nothing they should hang their heads on, but I just think an outlaw or high limit win would have just really pushed it
Yeah.
over the top for me.
End
And
of the
even if
day.
it's
Agreed. Right.
a prelim, you say about money. If it's a prelim 10,000 to win outlaw show, it's still an outlaw show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
No doubt.
listen, we're splitting hairs between an A+ and an A. It's still
Oh
an
yeah.
A. It's still an amazing
Yeah.
season. The only reason I didn't give him a plus was just because of the lack of a high limit or World of Outlaw win. But he was very competitive. 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s with the Outlaws, and then 2 top 5s and 7 top 10s with high limit, and a 72% top 10 percentage with a 54% top 5 percentage. I mean, he's just always a threat, and he might knock off another win. We do still have one more race left here at BAPS. So yeah, I mean, fantastic season from Danny Dietrich. I would say it's a little bit of an improvement from last year. Yeah, just fantastic. Doug Witten here says need to put pluses by him. Also, he's definitely as good as Macri. I agree. I think he's right there with Macri for sure. I mean, they're the top 2 of a group of drivers that we really rely on here as posse to come in, or when the national competition comes in, to come in to help defend home turf. Yeah, and then the Ohio Speed Week Championship. I mean, that's something that he got off the porch and won a bunch of races out there, and just ran fantastic. So
And just a typo. So they did Ohio Speed Week, PA Speed Week, and then went to Knoxville, correct?
and they did
And
I-55 where he ran really
and so
well.
Danny talked about that being almost like 3 separate speed weeks. And when he was on the show last year, he talked about they go to Knoxville and kind of mess up the back half of their year using motors and things like that. So they've figured something out where they can do that and stay consistent all the way through the end of the year. So what that means going forward, I don't know, but that's a long stretch of races through the summer that they did and
Yeah,
stayed consistent all the way through.
yeah. 83 starts is a lot of races, so
Yeah.
shout out to that team. Ethan says that wing looks a little suspicious to be
That's my
honest.
brother. Don't pay him any mind this whole show. He's gonna be commenting shit left and right. Don't pay him any mind.
But yeah, so fan responses here: 35% A and 20% A plus. So everybody was right in that range with over half of the votes for A or A plus. Next driver, Chase Dietz, first year in the Stamen Motorsports, number 23, where he did 70 starts, 9 wins, 36 top 5s, 48 top 10s, got his first World of Outlaw win, a National Open prelim, 2 wins at Port Royal, 3 wins at Selinsgrove, 2 at Lincoln, a win at Path Valley, and a win at Williamsgrove, that Outlaw date. 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s with the Outlaws, and 3 top 10s with High Limit, a 68% top 10 percentage, 51% top 5. We all went straight A's across the board. Ryan Smith, what do you give?
I had an A plus. I'm probably pretty generous, but the first year with that team, my expectations when they started the year was that they were going to be great. Chase is, I mean, one of the best drivers in this area. Clearly, that car has some of the most money in this area, the best equipment. So I knew that they were going to be awesome. You heard some. Well, the crew chief came from the Zemco car that he hadn't done anything outside of port, and you heard a lot, and just the first race of the year they come out swinging and they won the icebreaker. And then by the end of the year, they're still winning outlaw shows at the Grove. So I felt like it was an A plus year for them. First season out, like this shit is not easy. It takes time to develop, and they were just fast right out the gate. They struggled a little bit. Like I think they went to I-55 that the same weekend Danny went out, and I think they were in the C main both nights. So they struggled a little bit outside of PA, but they're building a notebook, and it's to be expected. So I gave an A plus. I'm probably a little generous on that, but yeah, I mean it's still a great season no matter what.
Jimmy, you went with the A here. Give me your thoughts on his season, and if you remember, what was the over under set at for wins for him this season? Do we remember?
We have it at the end, and he just hit the under. We'll
The
go
under.
over.
I said it. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go over that at the end. Those will be the final 2 slides here, where we go over our preseason predictions and our over unders. But he just was under. I think it was 10.5 wins we set him at. I'll have to. We'll look. We'll go over it.
I'm as excited to see where these lines I set, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not that if I got them right or wrong, but how close were the lines to where we ended up? Like,
they were
Jay-Z
all really
what if
close.
we'd have
Yeah, they
what
were
if
all
we'd have made
actually
any
really
money
close.
on this shit? Might have to do it next year.
Fantastic season by Chase. A lot of second and third places. A lot of those top 5s are second and third places. A lot of podiums. Just not quite there with Danny and Macri, but I mean, most 9 out of 10 nights he is, right. You know what I mean? It's just a fantastic season. Great first season with that team. Excited to see what they bring in to next year. They started really hitting a stride again here the last half of the year. I felt like it seems like where they found a little something, even though they already came out of the gate swinging. Fantastic season for him. I just couldn't go with a plus because I just feel like he's just a notch below where Macri and Danny are. Especially like Ryan said, with going out and like Knoxville and I-55, that's something that they'll learn too. Like I have all the confidence that they will. Just wasn't there this year. So
I think when I made my grades, I might have put my Dave Scott Smeltzer hat on and just threw an A plus up there.
Well, listen, I think it's easy though too, because if I again, this is going back to the logic I talked about at the beginning. If you go on the logic I used for Danny, this should be an A plus. If Danny's was an A plus for what he did last year, this year, and he was good last year, This should be an A plus based on, okay, went from 2 wins to 9, went from 20 top fives to 36, went from 39 top tens to 48, made $100,000 more than last year. This should be an A plus on those standards, but
Yeah.
9 wins versus those top 2 in PA had 12, right? Close. Now, listen, week 1 at Lincoln got the win. Week 2, he gave it away. He was leading and lost on the last lap. There was a lot of those situations that this is just as easily 12 wins. I think that's the future. If we give him A pluses for this, what's next year? If he gets 12 or 15 wins, right? Now, again, year to year, does that matter? Whatever the case may be, this was outstanding. Out freaking standing. And we needed it as posse. It's awesome to see. I think we all knew the potential was there. It's great to see after just 1 year what these results were.
Yeah.
Very great freaking job. Chris?
James,
I agree with everything y'all are saying. It's exactly what my thoughts were.
You'll get the first one next, Chris. I don't know who's next, but you're getting the first comment on the next one.
Magby here says if all of his top fives were wins, Chase would have beaten Macri and Denny. I mean, there's 36 top fives. Yeah, like coulda, shoulda, woulda. A lot of
That's why
ifs
they
and
raced
buts.
the
Yeah,
race,
there's
right?
Billy Dietrich right there. Lots of
There it
ifs and
is.
buts. So yeah, I mean, a lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and either way, it's still a fantastic season. Great first season,
Yep.
great foundation. They should, an A, like I said, an A and an A plus. I mean, like I reserved my A plus for Macri because I don't think anybody was quite as good as he was. But there's a couple guys here that were very damn close. So,
And if y'all are watching this and you're like, hey, man, that should have been higher, boy, you're all gonna be pissed off when you see some of these grades later. So just buckle your seatbelts.
Yep.
If you want to go with more ifs and buts, if Chase didn't get upside down with 2 laps to go in Lincoln season, the next driver on the list would be a Lincoln track champion. So
That's right.
there's a lot of ifs and buts. That's why they race on the track and not on paper.
And I can't wait to this next slide.
Yeah, 44% A and then 29% A plus from the audience. So again, over about 60%, actually almost 70% between A and A plus from the audience. Next driver, Troy Wagaman Jr. 58 starts, 6 wins, 29 top fives, 48 top tens. Your 2025 Williams Grove track champion with 3 wins at Lincoln, a win at Baps, a win at Port Royal, and a win at Williams Grove. 3 top tens with the Outlaws, 1 top 5, and then 2 top tens with High Limit, and one of those top 5. 82% top 10 percentage. That's the highest in Central PA, percentage wise, and a 50% top 5 rate. Myself, Chris, and the audience went with an A. Jeremy went with an A minus. Chris, you can go first. Explain your A.
You mentioned the consistency, 48 top 10s out of 58 starts. A couple here and there things on the final night at Lincoln. He's won the Diamond Series Championship, Williams Grove Track Championship, and most likely the Lincoln Championship. I think you look at what Troy's done from last year. He won Lincoln, right? But extremely more consistent this year. So had speed, doesn't have the wins necessarily that the show for it that you would expect from a guy that's damn near won 2 track championships, but he was someone you watch for, and his consistency is ridiculous. What kept me away from the A plus was the no touring wins, and if he would have finished the Lincoln Championship, probably gets an A plus, just for where he is and where they are as a program together.
Yep, I agree. Brian?
So
Or
this,
go ahead.
well,
You go ahead.
I'm going to steal this one for a
Yeah.
second because I was the hardest grader here, and I think the 2 guys I'm the biggest fan of, I was the hardest grader on, I think, and I just didn't want it to be completely shown through because I think if Ryan could give more than a better grade than an A plus, he would give it if
You
he
got a
had
plus
it.
plus
'Cause
from me.
exactly. So
He's aiming an A plus next year already, and all he did is show up once.
this was a tough one. This was a tough one for me, and here's why. If I gave Chase Dietz an A and they raced against each other all year, every week, is this worthy of an A? Chase had 3 more wins. There was an Outlaw win, right? So like, again, we're splitting hairs on what the grading is here, but I was like, man, I'm not trying to be unfair to one or the other when I say if they raced in different ends of the country, Troy may be an A, but when I do them back to back and I go, these 2 raced against each other basically all season for the most part every week. And Chase's results versus Troy's, again, this is not a bad thing. He doubled his win count. 3 more top 5s, 6 more top 10s in about the same amount of races and more money than last year. It's an improvement. We love Troy. I think the future is just as bright for him as it is for Chase. And for years and years to come, I hope that we get to see those two duke it out forever. I hate that probably both of them are going to end up on the road someday. Maybe, maybe not. But like that's a trajectory. And man, what a great season for Troy. They got to be happy with it. I know that he's probably feeling a little like, maybe some things got away or, the what ifs kind of thing, but it's hard to be upset with these results. Ryan.
Yeah, I had an A also, kind of the same thought as Chris. I don't think the expectation for them is to come out and that they're going to win an Outlaw or High Limit show. I certainly think it's possible. They definitely have the speed, but when you're competing against those guys, it's tough. But I think what would have given an A+ for me is the Lincoln Championship. Just having that not go their way the last night. I think, like you said, it's hard to give. Like I gave Chase an A+. I don't think that Troy was quite up to that level, but of the drivers in this area, there's 3 guys that won it: Lincoln, Baps, Port, and the Grove, which shows you can win anywhere around here. Because while they're all bigger tracks, minus maybe Lincoln, they're all unique in their own way, and to be able to not only be competitive at all 4, but to win is hard. So I mean, fifth in the Tusky 50 with the minimal laps they've had up there.
Our charger.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it was a hard charger another night too. Like they had an amazing year, like doubled his highest win count in one season. Um, it's obviously there's room to grow, and I know that they want to be up front in high limit and outlaw shows. They that's their goal. But Troy, for being, I think him and I are the same age, 28, 29, somewhere in there. But for being, a little bit older relative to drivers these days, he doesn't have 10, 15 seasons behind the wheel of a 410. They were a family operation until 3, 4 years ago. And you can see the improvements every year of he's going from 25 races a year to 60, and you can see that that's slowly growing. That he's getting just as competitive as the big name guys uh, on our local scene, which I personally I really like that. I like to see our guys travel and do well outside the country, but I also love that we have Troy and Freddie competing at Lincoln in the Grove weekly, and these points battles mean something for once. I mean, for how many years it's just been Freddie driving away with them because he's the only high dollar team that runs weekly, and I like that there's a battle now, and it's not just wrapped up with 3 races to go. It's competitive down to the wire, and I think it's made the championships mean something again. So, yeah, I think an A is fair. The Grove was their track championship was their biggest goal, and they achieved it. So I think an A is very fair. I give him an A++ as a friend.
I was between an A and an A-. I stuck with an A just because of the 82% top 10 percentage.
Oh yeah,
That's
48 out of 58 is crazy.
That's highest out of the 4 guys that we named so far, that we went through so far. They all have 50% or higher top 5 percentage, but Troy had the highest top 10 percentage. So just kind of looking at that, I went with the A just because of how consistent they were. And the Port Royal stuff really blew me away. Limited laps there, great competition with high limit, and was hard charger for Tusky 50. Gotta
the
win
Speed
at Port
Week
Royal
show.
on a just, hey, Lincoln rained out, we went to Port Royal on a last minute thing
Yep.
and goes and wins the race there is just
Yeah.
just really incredible.
The Saturday Speed Week show, go out for hot laps, blow a motor, change motors, barely miss their time on the ramp by like 2 spots. Come out, they get 1 lap, they set quick time, they get relegated to 5th in their heat based off the rules, which that's its own argument, whatever. I think he started 9th in the feature that night, or was running 7th or 9th or something, and they lose another motor, and it's like the fact that they were able to rebound just off of blowing a motor in hot laps and getting a lap down, nonetheless, the quickest lap of Flight B was crazy. It just shows that they're a great. Troy's a great driver, but they're a great team. Like they all mesh well. You go down the pits after the races, and 90% of the time it's laughing and carrying on. Whether they ran whether they won or they ran 10th. Like, the vibe's always that they're there to have fun and it's not a job.
Yeah.
And think about that, if and buts again. It doesn't happen at Port Royal to go to Path Valley, the chance to win the PA Speedweek Championship. Like maybe it's an
Right.
A+ then.
Yeah.
It's fine. My brother's comment there. He said he worked out of a shop in downtown Hanover, push starting a 358 on a public road. It's funny enough, that shop is actually right beside the house that we used to live in. We had no idea that was his shop. I'd known Troy from the go-kart track, but my dad heard a sprint car fire off one day, and it was, my buddy. That's his shop is like right down the alleyway, and yeah, I mean they were right smack dab in the middle of town. Truck and trailer parked on one side, and the sprint car on the other, and like to see how far he's come. Like it's an A this year, but I'm expecting A+ for years to come because he's a hell of a driver.
Santosa brings up the point too. He was the Hoosier Diamond Series champion as well. Doug Witten says, again, definitely one of the most improved drivers. And then he also goes on to say, given A+ to the level of competition around Central PA. And we're going to talk about this maybe a little bit later with our preseason predictions that but like I definitely think it's an up year for our local drivers. You're seeing a lot of younger guys really improve, and really they really came up to bat. It wasn't just Macri, even though he got most of the wins with the high level competition, that the national competition that came in here. But a lot of drivers really took it to him, and it was really good to see. Let's go. 39% said A, 26% said A+, and then another 24% put A-. So everybody's right in that A range with Troy. Next driver, Freddie Raymer. 54 starts, 7 wins, 24 top 5s, 40 top 10s. He was your Lincoln Track champion, where he got 6 wins and 1 win at Williams Grove. Jeremy and Chris both went with an A-. The audience went with a B, and I went with a B+. Who wants to go first on this one? Ryan, why don't you go first on this one?
I'm with you, Jimmy. I had a B+. I think he had more wins than Troy, but I think it's just the lack of variety. When they go anywhere other than Lincoln or the Grove, they tend to struggle, which not sure what it is, why they obviously have a half-mile program. Like, at the Grove, they run well. So I'm not sure what it is, but they go to Port and they're just not good. BAPS, I didn't look up the stats for how they ran at BAPS, but 6 wins at Lincoln is great. And it's not like they're gimmies, It's most weeks he's handicapped to an 8th or 9th in a heat. And then even if he drives up to 2nd or 3rd in a heat or even wins the heat, he's back to 8th or 9th in the feature again. And so they're not just all handouts. They're tough wins. But I think a B+, Lincoln Track champion, that's him and Troy are just kind of expected to fight it out. The Grove seemed like Troy kind of pulled away in that one. Freddie wasn't, if I remember correctly, wasn't too close at the end. But I think A-, B+, somewhere in that range is pretty fair.
Yeah, Jeremy.
I was just kind of looking up some of the stats there at Babs. I wanted to see either confirm or, whatever, a 4th, a 5th, a 12th, a 5th, 4th, 6th, 3rd, and whatever's left. So I think when you look at BAPS, it's about the same story. It's consistent, but not the win. I went the same grade as Troy here, right? Similar in wins, similar top 5s, similar top 10s, a few less races than last year, than the year before. When he was running 2 cars last year, he had the 8 and the 51. This was strictly the 51. So a few less races. I think this is an okay year. That they got back on track a little bit, right? From 2 years ago, where there were 26,000 wins or something. Last year was just, and then this year back in the win column a lot, especially at Lincoln. But listen, if I gave Troy an A- for his season in a track championship, this is like the same thing. It's like the same. There's so much similarity here. We saw it every night, every week, every night. These two couldn't get away from each other. And that's why the points titles came down to the last race of the last weekend on both tracks. It's an A- for me. I mean, I think he would probably self grade him as like a C+. self-grade because they want to win 12, 15
yeah.
races a year.
I think
for
every
sure.
driver would probably do
Everyone
that.
does. And everyone does. But he, even in, victory lane after about the track champion, he was just talking about wins. Like, thank you, but we didn't win enough races. And everyone feels that way, but I feel like he really does not care about the track championship. He may not say, like, I think it's this. If you care about a track championship and you finally win that track championship, yeah, you're thankful and you're talking about that, and that was our goal. He was kind of like, thank you, but we got to win more races. Like, I love that. But for me, I can't go any higher or lower than Troy because I think it was almost identical. Like, yeah, there was differences in swings and momentum and how the year went, ups and downs, beginning, middle, end, but like it's the same stats. Very similar. Very similar.
I don't disagree. Similar stats, lower top 10 percentage and a lower top 5 percentage than Troy, just by a little bit. It was the lack of showing up against national competition. He did have 2 top 10s with the World of Outlaws, no top 5s, nothing against High Limit. And Troy won at a bunch of different tracks. He won at all 4 big ones.
Sure.
And I think that's where I go down to a B plus with them. Fantastic season. I was between an A minus and a B plus, but just because of just kind of looking at the stats, then and I felt like the first half of the season they were very up and like they were consistent. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't battling for wins as much as you expected early on in the season. It really took them until I think it was like after Speed Week when they were more of a threat to win. They got a couple wins early on. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like it was more a second half season for them, and still a great season. And actually, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say my 2 thoughts. I was a B plus, but I go A minus because he won the track championship, and I would say the biggest difference between Troy and him, for me, right or wrong, is the body of work. Like we're how many years in the Freddie's career? You kind of expect a little bit more, and that comes into play a little bit later in some grades that you'll see I have that are going to be controversial. But we're how many years into you expect more? So Troy gets an A minus because he's year 2, 3 full time doing this. Freddie, we expect him to do this. We expect a little bit more out of him when the national series are coming. We expect him to go to Port Royal or BAPS and be competitive, not just Lincoln and Winners Grove, bread and butter. It's not to be harsh, but like I was a B plus. Track championship bumps him up.
Yep. And actually, there was a couple of responses since I did these graphics yesterday. Freddie actually is now 20% B plus, and then 18% a B, and 15% A minus. So everybody's kind of in that range, but actually the audience is actually a B plus.
How many Fs did they give him?
13% S, which is which is funny watching with Freddie in this
Every year. We went through this last year.
He does not deserve an F as much as you
No.
like him. If you're just going off of what he did as a driver out on the track.
Remember this show last year? That actually pissed me off. I was like,
I remember
actually,
listening to that. You chewed people apart on that one.
I think this is the first year that
it bothers me. Like,
this is the first year I think that it wasn't a majority F.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I had to put
like
F
over
on the
20,
graphics
30% last year.
I guess that's what happens when you only win 7 times and not 20.
Yeah, comparing, like talking about their travels, BAPS, I guess they were a little bit better at BAPS than off the top of my head, but at Port, I have a 24th in an early season show, DNQ at the Weikert. The next week they ran 9th, and then Speed Week they were 15th and 9th. So I just expect a little bit more out of them. Again, most of the times they go up there are 4 big shows, so it's tough. It's just sometimes they don't even look like they're in the same universe as the other guys around here when they go to Port. So I just expect maybe hopefully they figure it out, because I'd like to see maybe branch around and some people on Facebook shut up.
Yeah, I agree. Good season though for Freddie. Congratulations on the track championship.
We were talking about the season, the ebbs and flows of it, right? So 7 wins. His third win didn't come until June 30th.
Right.
So you're talking about that early season. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't wins. And then it sort of like got going late in the summer, kind of picked those off a few. He only wins the firefighter race and he only wins the Steve Smith race. So, right? Or is that, wait, which one does he always win?
He had 4 wins after August 1st.
The Rack Daddies. I think he always
Rack
wins.
Daddy's Rumble.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost that race yet. So
Yeah. I think he's
if
like
you can count on it,
three
it's
for
the
3 or 4 for 4.
yeah 4 for 4 I think with this year. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's keep moving on. Let's keep going.
Next driver, Lance DeWeese. 41 starts, 2 wins, 15 top 5, and 25 top 10s. Won the All-Star Circuit of Champions event at Williams Grove and won the Hod Nut Classic at Port Royal. He had one top 5 and one top 5 with the World of Outlaws and 2 top 5s with High Limit. I gave a B along with the audience, and actually the audience tied between a B and a B plus, 28% each for that. And then Jeremy and Chris went on the B minus. So you guys explain your B minuses first.
I mean, he surpassed my expectations. I told Father Time was going to get him, but he's still lurking around. 25 top 10s, 41 starts, 2 wins, and they were big wins. And there were so many races also that were almost big wins. So give him some flowers. B minus.
Yeah. Hard for me to go higher. And 2 wins just isn't what they want. He wants, right? It's 2 wins. 2. This is Lance DeWeese we're talking about. 2. Okay. Now, to put it in perspective a little bit, we know the struggles they had in 2024. Mechanical, this, that, the other thing. Exact same amount of races ran year to year. Same amount of wins year to year. Picked up more than doubled his top 5s from 7 to 15. And his top 10s went from 16 to 25. Now, 25 out of 41 top 10s. 2 wins. And we're going higher than I'm honestly, I don't want to be harsh, but this is a C probably for me. This is Lance DeWeese, everybody. Okay. This is Lance DeWeese. He knows and still can get it done. We've seen it. It's there. No, it's 2022, 41 races, 10 wins, 25 top 10s, 25 top 5s and 35 top 10s. It's only 2022. It's not like it was 10 years ago.
I think
Now,
in terms
this
of
program improved greatly from last year from finishing races. At least you got to get to the checkered flag to hopefully see a checkered flag. But 2 wins isn't going to cut it for Lance DeWeese, right? We all know that.
Yeah.
I'm a B minus because of it.
I went up to a B because of the improvement from last year. And they were there when national competition was there, he was still a threat. He was fast in time trials. Like they really improved on a lot of things, not just finishing races, but finding some good speed against national competition. So an improvement from last year, a 62% top 10 rate, in limited starts. And there's probably a couple he could have got back. So I just think it, just big improvement for him this year with that team, and excited to see what happens. And limited starts. You know what I mean? They're not running a full-time schedule, so I think that deserves a little bit too, because you're not out there every week trying to build you know what I mean? Like they might not race for 3 weeks at a time sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just and to get back out there and be competitive. I was just really impressed with the improvement this year. Ryan?
I think I was a little too favorable. I wasn't sure what to do when I found out I was coming on here, if I should fill out a form or if I was supposed to send them to you guys. So I kind of rushed through it a little bit. I gave him a B plus, just off the top of my head, watching from the racetrack. There was some nights sitting in Williams Grove, I thought that 12 was just a 69K with a different wrap on it, that he had that much speed again. I remember, I think it was the National Open tune-up race. Went out and just dusted the field quick time. And then I think he was leading his heat race and they had a fuel issue. And then in the feature, or might have ran a dash or something, they had a fuel issue again. And it was a few of those this year that's those 2 wins. I think he's probably one driver that the what ifs could actually have changed the year, that he had a few that were taken away. But it's a team sport. So as a driver, I think he had a B plus year. He's almost, sometimes I thought it was 69K Lance back again. But as a team, yeah, I could see the B minus to C plus range, that their expectation is to be up front. And it is kind of back to the Chase Dietz thing, where this is only Chase's first year in the 23. Well, this is Lance's second year in the 12, right?
Yeah.
and last year a lot of mechanical gremlins. Um, Lance isn't getting any younger, but they're getting better. So it's a weird line that they're at that if they continue to get better into next year and can finish races, I could easily see that 2 wins and 40 starts go to, six or 7 wins.
Yeah.
Um, so it's they I don't think they struggled a lot this year. I think they had a lot more speed than before. So I gave them a B plus, but again, I was probably a little favorable in that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think just building that team up. And Santos here says, on context, this year was much better year than last year. He's building that team up the way he did with Pete's 25 years ago. You can't compare the 69K years to the 12. Not the same. And if it wasn't
Yes, I
for
can.
Lance, that 12 wouldn't be a contender.
I can
Sure.
compare them. He's the same driver. He's a veteran, right? I can compare them. I can compare his driver stats and winnings and earnings. Of course, we can. We all can. It doesn't matter. You can compare, and this
And
was 2 wins.
you can't go and say the
And
69K it wasn't as good as it was not because of Lance when they went to World Finals this year and had to leave after the first night because
Right.
they timed like shit. So I think that was a team that worked well together, and we've seen the 69K have a lot of success since Lance left the ride. But I think that was a team that worked well together, and maybe Lance could get to 12. Probably not to that level, but more competitive than the 12 was before he got there for sure. No offense to anyone before, but it's Lance freaking DeWeese.
Yep.
yep. And Doug, new team for Lance. No, he will be back in the 12.
Yeah. Well, this season was his first year with the 12. I don't know if
Oh,
that's what he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
asking.
yeah. No, and it
Um,
also wasn't. It was the second season
Yeah,
with the 12. But
last
well,
year
he
was
wasn't in the season. He wasn't in full time last year in the 12, was he?
Yes.
yeah, I think he
yes,
He
was.
was.
Because
That
he
wasn't
was.
the
Billy
year that he
I think it was
started.
Billy
Yeah,
the year
Billy was out at
before.
the
Billy was
end.
the year
Yeah,
It
that's
was
before.
right.
Billy.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, definitely improvement. Second year with the team. Hopefully, we see that continue to build up. Next driver, Brock Zierfoss, off the Outlaw Tour, back home to PA, where he did 81 starts, grabbed 2 wins, 27 top fives, 46 top tens. He won the Labor Day Classic at Port Royal, and then the Billy Kimmel Memorial at Williams Grove. One Outlaw top 10, 2 high limit top tens. He also had 2 top fives during Ohio Speed Week, including a second place at Eldora. I went with a B minus. Jeremy went with a C. Chris went with a D, and the audience went with 22% C plus and 20% a B. So C plus edges it out there. Ryan, what would you give Brock Zierfoss?
I had a B. I felt like just from the eye test at the end of the year, they had a lot of speed at the end of the year. They let me down. I'll say I've said it for years that if he came back to PA and raced here locally, that he would be a 5, 6, 7 win team. Um, and I think that they didn't quite meet that. Again, when you're racing local, you're with handicap. Sometimes you're starting eighth in a heat race at Williams Grove, so it's not easy to just come in and win races. But I thought that they learned, you know, he would have gained a lot more, would have progressed a lot more on the Outlaw Tour. Because you get your teeth kicked in there, and you come around here. I thought he would mesh a little better with the 8 car, but it just kind of let me down. I think when I made these, I think I made some of the early guys. I was a little too favorable with them, so I could leave room for some lower guys to really be below them. But yeah, I'd say B minus grade in my opinion. That they they were up front a lot, but they
Yeah.
just didn't translate a lot of wins. I mean, 2 wins and 27 top fives. That's a hell of a gap there. That again, what if things change in a few races? He's a 5, 6 time winner. So.
Yep.
They definitely. It wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't the year that he was winning,
Right.
but they, I was expecting more.
I agree. I didn't have him as like a guy that was going to come out and win 7, 8, 9 times, but I thought closer to 5. You know what I mean? And a third of his finishes were in the top 5. He was really fast all year, like you said, the eye test. And then also, when they went out to those couple of races for Ohio Speed Week, he was pretty impressive. Just kind of and splitting between 2 rides and everything. I thought it was a decent season. I'm sure they would want it better. The 2 wins is what really kept me at a B minus instead of a C plus. But yeah, and just like I said, the eye test, I think he is very fast, a little bit better what these stats here say. But at the end of the day, you got to go get those stats. You know what I mean? So uh, looking for more improvement here with that team, whatever his plans are for next year. Jay-Z, you went with a C.
Now I want to hear Chris.
Yeah, you went with a D.
Yeah, well, kind of like Ryan touched on, coming off tour, right or wrong, I think we all kind of thought he was going to come off tour and be like what Brent Marks was when he came off tour during COVID and after that. Not to mention he's jumping in the Eichelberger car, which won a track championship a year ago, right? Doesn't win until September. Yes, he was lurking around mostly locally. It's like just didn't do it for me. I expected more out of him. We know his 3Z stuff. He wins the final showdown at BAPS last year. Just overall, I expected much more than 2 wins, and especially not one of them happening before September. And maybe it's not fair to compare him to what Brent did when he came after CJB and came home, but he has all that experience racing all around the country, and he can't figure out the tracks that he grew up racing. It's I don't know, maybe I'm being hard.
No, you're not. And I easily could have gone this because my bar was set way higher than what I got here. And you'll see that with the over unders later where I
Right.
set the over under. My bar was really, really high. That experience matters on the road. And I think this car had speed at times and there were, and I think it was always like that 4th to 8th place. Right. And if they got, if they timed well, this or that, the other thing, like just it's 2 wins isn't good enough. It's just not good enough. And 81 races and made $1,000 less than he did on the Outlaw Tour the year before.
Right. It's crazy.
Now that payout is way different on the Outlaw Tour. Totally get it. But 2 wins versus 1, 2 top 5s last year in 75 races to 27 this year. 18 top 10s to 46 this year and made $1,000 less
And
than last year.
And I want to touch is that
on the
46
payout.
top 10s locally is as impressive when
Right.
a bulk of them are local races where you're not racing outlaw high limit things like that.
Right. This was all mostly posse, right? This is mostly posse. And you win $1,000 less overall, 122 grand. What's that? I didn't do the math on it, but 81 starts at 122 grand. Can't be good.
But that
And from what I've heard,
go
ahead.
The 122 grand is still more than what Troy, Raymer, DeWeese, and anybody else that we're going to talk about here.
With 30 more races ran.
Right.
With 30 more races ran than those guys. Than Troy. 30 more races to win a little bit more money. So the math on that doesn't math to me. And my brain goes to this is like what I've been hearing is that the 8 rides done. He's going back on tour next year. Did this help?
No.
Did 2025 help what he's going to go do on the road again?
Is he going to go All-Stars? If he goes there, maybe he
wins
the championship.
He might win the All-Star Tour, right?
What I'm saying is, like, what's he going to do? Is he going to go high limit outlaw? Like, nothing here is giving me any confidence for his next year to be better if he's going on
Probably
tour.
on the Outlaw Tour from what I've heard. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, Chris, I could have easily gone D as well. But at the end of the day, he won 120 grand, 46 top 10s, 27 top 5s in Central PA is not like, oh my God. But again, this is that grading system on like what we all expected versus what we got. Right. Not necessarily versus anybody else in the competition against each other, but even against the guys like Troy and Freddie. 81 starts and the stats, there's guys versus Brock with all this experience.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody just set the bar way too high for them personally. Like I said, I thought because every time that they came back when he was on the road and they came here locally, he was never a factor. He wasn't a factor really.
He wasn't a factor on the road either. So
right, that's my point.
But even coming home, you think you get that bump?
No, I didn't expect. I expected about what he did here. Maybe a little bit more wins. And he won the BAPS race that's coming up this weekend. He won that last year, so he might notch that under his belt. But up to this point, I was between a C+ and a B-, and I didn't have those expectations of him 7 wins like a lot of other people were saying. So that's why mine's a little more generous. Yeah, let's move on to the next driver. Justin Whittle, your 2025 Port Royal Track Champion. 53 starts, 2 wins, 18 top 5, 34 top 10s. He had 2 top 5s with the World of Outlaws and 3 top 10s. And then he had 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s with High Limit. And just got that win at Bridgeport basically last week.
Again,
Myself and the audience went with a B+. Chris and Jeremy went with a B.
Ryan, what's your grade here?
I had a B. I was expecting they were so fast at the end of 2024. Really, the whole second half of the year and the start of this year, I was expecting them to come out of the gate a little bit better, and they didn't. And I think part of that is Justin doesn't run. If I remember correctly, I don't think he ran the day shows at Lincoln. So everyone kind of gets, if they go to Florida or race around here, they get 10 to 12 shows under their belt. So maybe it takes a couple races for them to knock the rust off. But I thought they had a really good year. To be honest, when I gave the grade, I completely forgot about the Port Royal Track Championship. It was the one I couldn't remember. Sorry, Justin. But I think they had a pretty good year. I think their expectations are probably higher, and I think Justin has a lot of speed, and they're going to be good for years to come. But I just felt like I was expecting a little bit better. That was all.
Yeah, I tend to agree here. And I definitely set the bar high. I had the prediction of the Port Royal Track Championship, and this probably goes from a B- to a B because of that title. Because that title has been on lockdown with not that many different winners over the years, right? It's been kind of locked down on like who's the winners of the Port Royal Track Championship. And I think that he's been building toward this. And I agree with you, Ryan. Winning that Bridgeport race last year, all that momentum he took in the offseason, I'm like, damn, 2025 is the year of Justin, right? Year of Whitall. Here we go. And it just kind of took forever to get going. Did get going, but when I look at the stats from last year to this year, and this is one of my favorite things I did when I went through these, is I looked at it year to year. Did we get better? Did we get worse? What was the situation? Did we change rides? Whatever. Exact same amount of starts, 1 less win, 1 more top 5, and 5 more top 10s. Earned $7,000 more than last year. And again, carries momentum into this 2026. Now, from what I've heard, 2026 is going to look very different for this fella. But at the end of the day, he gets a bump in the grade because of the Port Royal Track Championship that is not easy to win, which was super cool. But man, got to go get more wins, right? Justin knows that. He knows how much shit I gave him about getting the wins, and you got to get going. And it took till when was that first one at Port?
It was the week
August?
after Troy's win because the night that Troy won, Whittle had like a 9-second lead and blew the right
July
rear on the
19th
last
and blew
lap.
the tire.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was about
July
mid-year. I
19th
remember
was that
that.
one.
And then the next week he came back and said, "Y'all ain't taking this one from me again," and waxed their ass.
Yeah. So, and Justin was in here, right? Self-admittedly an F, right? I think we all went into this year going, man, it's the year, right? And just started off slow. So, whatever he's got to do to get the warm weather early for himself, I don't know, right? So, but again, we'll see what 2026 looks like, and wish him the best of luck moving forward.
Justin Whittle gave himself an F. He just put it in chat. I think that's being a little hard on yourself.
What
Honestly,
were the fan grades, Jimmy?
the fan grades were 31% B+, 19% A-. So they were pretty high, and then another 14% for an A. So a lot of people were in that B+ to an A range for Justin.
I mean, would he win the most popular vote driver in PA at this point, based on that? I mean,
I don't know.
he seems to be fairly well liked across pretty much everybody, right?
For sure. But listen, 2 top 5s with the Outlaws at Williams Grove, I think bumps him up a grade, and then the track championship. So I think that's what takes me up to a B+, and probably a lot of the audience.
Yeah, he's gonna have to change his number next year.
The 6
That's what
7.
I'm gonna say. Yeah, I think he might have to change it. Get rid of
6-7.
one of those numbers. He might have to get rid of one of those numbers, one of those two numbers. I think.
Chris, your thoughts on Justin Whittle?
You guys kind of touched on it. I don't have a strong opinion. I think the B's fair, won a track championship. I do feel like more consistent than other years. Before we talk about him having scary crashes, taking a tree out of Williams Grove, getting carted off at Port Royal, scary shit, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have that as much this year, so that's good. That's progress. 5 more top tens. Just overall, I think more consistent in a sense of if it wasn't there, not destroying the car. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just kind of what I feel, as you didn't have those scary crashes, which is a good step to having a full season. Is not getting medevaced out of there multiple times a year.
Jesus.
Justin says,
Good
I expected more from myself in one of those top fives with no breaks. So, man, I might bump you up to an A minus. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I think still great year for Justin. Great job on the track championship. Excited for what his future holds.
I think for years up to 2024, he was getting step by step better, and then won a race and won a couple races, and then it was like from last year to this year, which is kind of a plateau, where I think he's going to keep getting better, and we've seen him definitely calm down, like Chris said, a lot less torn up equipment this year. Definitely seen him calm down a lot, but it's just hope that doesn't take speed away also. But I think he's going to be fine. I think Justin's really good, and I think he's going to continue to progress. I think PA's in a really good spot with a lot of these guys.
All right, next driver on the list, Cameron Smith. 58 starts, 3 wins, 16 top fives, 34 top tens. He won the final 50 and the Kramer Clash at Lincoln. He also had a win in the East Brothers race at Williams Grove, who we beat Buddy Kofoid there in a pretty impressive win there at Williams Grove. 59% top tens, 28% top fives. I gave a B plus. Jeremy went with a B minus. Chris a C, and the audience with 28% A, and then also 24% B. So, but A edges that one out. That's what the audience gave. Ryan, what did you think about Cam?
This is favorable. I gave him an A plus, and I also want to start a petition. Anyone in the chat can sign this, that Chris should have his name taken off the rest of these, because a C is other than his name starting with a C is criminal, because that team is not. Yeah, if I should have remembered, we raced go-karts with him this weekend, and I almost did pass him. So that should have knocked him down at least a grade or two on my list. But like, that team is not 27, 48, 51, Eichelberger 8. It is 23. It is not their budget, but you wouldn't tell it by sitting there watching from the grandstands, because he is just as fast every single night. And Cam's problem for the last few years was, when the track slows down, can he slow down with it? Is he just on the hammer? And we saw nights, the final 50, where the track took rubber in 1 and 2, and he was smart enough on a restart to move down. So he is so freaking good, and they had an amazing year for what their budget and schedules allow. That I think they had an A plus year by my expectations versus reality for them.
Chris, explain your C.
Oh, I have no explanation.
So he just
Criminal.
said he got me. You got me. All right.
Yeah,
So
I have
Chris,
I didn't even watch the
valid.
races.
I have no valid argument one way or the other.
I think here's Chris. I think I know where your brain is, right? Comparing and saying, okay, if Macri and Dietrich and Wagaman are the bar, where does this fall in line in PA, right? Listen, I don't think it's like a disservice or a matter of disrespect to Cam based on this being a C. If your grading is kind of like, hey, here's these guys in PA, and where are you at with these results? I went B minus, which again isn't far from the C, and I went B minus simply because I know what's possible. And if I give him an A plus here, and he breaks out with 7 wins next year, what was this year? So
See,
I'm thinking about this going, what is in the future here? And a B minus to me, I think for a young guy who's what year he ran in 2022, he ran 10 410 races. 2023 60, 2024 47, and 2025 58. So third year basically in a 410. And he's 19? How old is he now?
I don't even know if he's
Is he
20,
20?
maybe
20?
20.
19, 20? Okay. Went from 6 top 5s to 16. Went from 20 top 10s to 34. Went from 2 wins to 3. He had 2 wins last year. You all know that, right? It's only one more win than last year. Now, it's a double his money. It was some pretty big money won, but that comes with those extra top 5s and all those extra top 10s. So, if this is an A plus, what could next year be? How do you grade any higher? If this is an A, what, he only has to get 6 wins next year to be an A plus, and we just gave guys with 6 wins A's and A minuses and B pluses. So, Chris, I don't think you're being unfair or disrespectful. And even
I
myself,
do.
I'm not far from your C, your C in a sense. I just think it's like, man, this is a great year. This is success with what that team is and the speed he started to show, especially I think mid-year on, time trials, heats, passing cars, features, winning races. This to me is a grade of going B minus to like, holy shit, next year, this could be our guy. That's where I'm at.
Santos said it here too. He beat Buddy Kofoid straight up at the Grove. A C grade is insane. That's what bumped me from a B to a B plus. Was that win over Buddy,
wait till you
plus the
see
other
my
2
next
wins at
moves.
Lincoln. The final 50, I was super impressed with what he did there. More
I
wins
was
than
very,
Joey.
I was being very biased when I made that. I don't think
It's
expectation. I don't think A plus. Obviously they want to do better, but I think with how fast he was every single week, he was right there with the top guys in this area. And
Mhm.
that, like we all know, that car is very good stuff, but it is not the money is not there like it is for these big teams. And he made that car just as quick as them. And he's very good. This, like I said with Woodall, this area is in great hands if these guys stick around here.
Yeah.
I think Chris might have
If I,
Googled the Cam Smith that races in Washington when he gave him a C. Might have had the wrong Cam.
um, when I look at Central PA and we talk about like, the young guys and this and that, Cam Smith is in the top 3 of the young raw talent in Central PA.
Oh,
Like
for
he is
sure.
there. The flashes of brilliance I've seen behind the wheel, and not just, and I'm not saying that even in the wins. Like what he did that night at the final 50, running the top when no one else was, and then moved down. Yeah, that's a veteran thing. He kind of knew what to do, and he had to know Troy was running the bottom, right, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like that move was smart, and I was rooting for Troy because he needed. I found out he needed that win to win the title, but I didn't want to have it taken from Cam because he did such a good job earning that win. But like some of the flashes of brilliance I've seen between time trials, especially time trialing late in the year, and like through heat races and features, raw talent. There's not very many young, raw, inexperienced, talented guys better than Cam Smith in Central PA, and I'd rival it in most of the country.
Yeah.
This is our future of the posse here. If we can keep this guy in some rides that, you know, funded, whatever the case may be, I hope the future's still there for the 75. And, Don is a great friend of ours and he's supported us in our show and we love him. But listen, money matters and funding matters. So, Cam, I hope gets opportunities to continue to stay behind the wheel full time because future is very, very bright.
Yep.
If I was starting a team tomorrow with unlimited money and I was looking for the best young driver in this area, Cam is easily the first driver on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Just to see how much
All
he's
right.
grown. Like a
Yeah.
couple years ago when he was in the Trone car, he might have even he was in the Trone car last year. A couple years ago he was in the Trone car and he started on the front row, I think twice at the Grove, a double feature
Yes.
night, and he lost both of them. And you could just see now maybe it was a car issue but I think it was a nerve issue where Cam's coming out turn 4 and he's just all over the front stretch and he's very like how mature he is behind the wheel now versus just 2 years ago. And I don't even know if he's old enough to drink a beer yet.
Yeah.
And he's grown that much. Like if he sticks with this and can get a full-time ride or if it's splitting rides, whatever it takes to run 40, 50 races, I think he's going to be so good.
Yeah, if this is what we have
Agreed.
now,
And
he's a couple years away from his prime still. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
the
for
sky's the
sure.
limit.
no doubt about it. And I hope, listen, I don't want to lose this guy, and I want to see him race around here forever. But if there's national teams out there looking for raw young talent to give a shot and give him some time, because think about this, he's just removed from 358 racing for 2 years. Did 2 years maybe, and then Sherway shut down, gets into 358 and 410s. Here we are. There's not many guys on that trajectory in PA that get those opportunities, and he's not even in his prime. Like the sprint car guys with his veteran stuff in their late 20s, early 30s, and other than the aliens of the world like a Corey Day, it takes some time to get this thing going. And man, like, yeah, I'm excited for the future and what Cam Smith will do. And I can't wait to see him kicking everybody's ass in the next few years.
All right, let's move on to our next driver from one Smith to another. And this is the other Ryan Smith. We have the real Ryan Smith with us right now. This is the other Ryan Smith. 55 starts, 3 wins, 20 top 5s, 30 top 10s, won the Keith Kaufman Classic and the Phil Walter Classic at Clinton County, has 2 wins at Port Royal, 1 at Clinton County. 3 top 5s with high limit, 6 top 10s, also 4 All-Star Circuit of Champion top 5s and a top 10 with the World of Outlaws. I and myself, with the audience, who went 28% B plus. Jeremy and Chris went with the C. Brian, grade Ryan.
This is tough. I had a big thing written up about how Andy May wrecked him in the last race of the year at Lincoln, and there was a lot written up about this. I had the wrong Ryan Smith to review his season. No, I'm just kidding. I gave a B. I think sometimes we've seen. Sometimes I think I could get in that 69K and win in it. It looks so smooth to drive. Obviously I couldn't, but it's like sometimes he would jump in and that car would be 69K speed, and other times it would be like he's in the 6 car. And nothing against the 6 car, but that 69K like looks like it drives itself sometimes, and it just there were some nights where it just didn't seem like they had that speed. But nights when they were on, my God, they were on. They were driving like we were in the infield at the last BAPS race, and it was just a big curve. Everyone was leaning on. There's a 69K right through the middle. A few more laps, they might have won the thing.
Yeah.
I think they had a good year. I don't know that I'm any better than a B, but I think they had a pretty good year. When High Limit came around, they obviously were pretty good at Port, but I don't think it knocked their socks off. But I think it was a strong year for them.
Right, so I went C, completely average, especially in the 69K. It's like you expect more, just completely average to me.
Yeah, this is hard because this car is fantastic. We all know it, but I'm just kind of looking down the rundown here, right? I'm looking at just finishes, and I don't know what car it's in. I don't know. I think when I just look at the driver, it has the driver. So forgive me for that some of that, but I know he took some of this stuff, and when he ran the 6, he ran the 6 where he wanted to go run, and it's usually things he wanted to go do. Right. 14th, 5th, 23rd, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 24th, 6th, 3rd, 2nd, 15th. Won't talk about Eldora. Well, 6th at the Kings Royal, 27th, 8th, a win, 33rd, 23rd, 10th, 12th, 5th, 10th, 6th, 4th. Like, this is not 69K numbers. That inconsistency is not something we are used to seeing with anyone in it. Logan Wagner was in it. It didn't set the world on fire every week, but they didn't 14th and 3rd and 15th and 3rd and 20th and 3rd. Yeah, there's some mechanical stuff, but I just don't think it just didn't hit it for me. Hopefully they're back together next year. He gets some more time in it. I just don't know how many, I don't know if there's a Ryan Smith 3.0 version of this, but like I don't know. I just
Here's
I
what
don't
I
know.
don't
It
understand.
just didn't do it for me.
Here's what I don't understand about your logic here. because before we're talking about Lance Deweese, and Santos even brought it up, it's like you're comparing the 69K for Lance with the 12 for Lance. You're like, yeah, we could absolutely compare them. They're the same.
Sure.
Now, all of a sudden, we're comparing the 69K to other drivers that were in the 69K and the 6 car. I think for Ryan Smith, this was a fantastic season because he hasn't been a guy that has been winning prior to the 69K. I'm not grading the 69K here. I'm grading Ryan Smith's season. And I think 3 wins out of 55 starts, 30 top 10s against national competition. He did pretty well. I think this is much better than a C. I think this is Ryan's. I mean, he wasn't really a factor to win races the past few years. A lot of it in his own equipment. He's been also part time. Yeah, the 69K maybe you expect a little bit more, but for still Ryan, and he had a great season. I think he won more races this year than he has in the past few. So, yeah, that's where I go with the B plus. I think that's where a lot of the audience goes too.
Um, fair, I think, but the Clinton County win was in the 6, was it not?
Yes, it was.
So it's 2
So there you go.
wins
Yeah.
in this car.
Okay.
In Clinton County, he's won races outside of PA in the 6 before.
Yeah.
So you get in a car that's dramatically better than your stuff, and you get 2 wins out of it.
Yeah, I'm not comparing the rides. I'm comparing just the season.
I am, because if we did compare it any other time, you'd say the 69K is better than the 6. Any other year, now they're the same and equal. I don't think so.
Yeah,
Darren
but
Pittman jumped in that car how many times?
You were saying that about Lance Deweese with the 69K.
I understand that he makes rides and he makes rides better. Did Ryan Smith make this car better by being
or was he carried by the car?
I don't know if he was carried.
I mean, Darren Pittman
got to win in his own car. Like
Darren Pittman jumps in this car how many times a year and was a threat every time.
He had 3 wins in 2021.
We're not comparing Ryan Smith to Christopher Bell or Darren Pittman.
I'm talking about
good because that was
year.
the case.
If this is better than a C for a guy with this experience in this car, I don't know, man. Just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, to each their own. Still more wins than Lance, more wins than Zierfoss, more wins than Whittle, about the same amount as Cam. I don't know. And he did it. He ran some all-star stuff too, and did really well there in his own car and in the 69K. I thought this was a good up year for Ryan Smith. Not you, Ryan.
Mandy said it was an up year for me. Mandy said the real Ryan Smith would have stayed at Charlotte all weekend. Mandy, I'll have you know, I didn't even make it to the track on Wednesday when they time trialed, and I still went Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that's courage.
That's a way to fight.
To show up. I missed time trials, and I still made it the rest of the week. So that's a driver there.
All right.
And I'm sure that wasn't Ryan's decision for the rest of the week.
Yeah, really. All right, Matt Campbell is our next driver on our list. 37 starts, 1 win, 9 top 5, 17 top 10s. His only Lincoln win was in March. I gave a C along with Chris. Jeremy with a C minus. The audience, actually, this is a split vote between 3 grades. 17% B, 17% B minus, and then 17% C. And then 15% C plus. So everybody's kind of mixed there, but right in that B to C range, low B, high C. It seems. Yeah, I mean, 1 win is what kept me in the C range. Otherwise, I think that was a pretty. He showed speed too, eye test wise. I think him and the next 2 we're going to talk about. I think they're a lot faster than maybe what some of their stats show. But with limited starts, getting a win, not an awful season, but I'm sure they expected a lot more.
Yeah, that's why I'm a C. I think we all expected a lot more out of them, and the win's great, but we know how fast Matt Campbell has been, and where we were this time last year. I think this is a disappointing year from if you were to ask Matt and that gang.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they've now parted ways, so maybe there's some validity to all of this, right?
Yep.
Go back a year. 10 less races, one more win, 2 more top fives, and about even on top tens with less races from last year. So this did not go in the direction we all thought it could, and we all thought it probably would. And I would venture to tell you that this car showed more flashes of speed more consistently last year than this year.
Yeah.
And I hate that. There were just time trial efforts this year were awful, just terrible. Even on good draw nights, it was just
Not even
not
competitive.
there. Not even close in time trials. And we run too many time trials shows right now. You're just setting yourself too far behind with these good fields in PA. So obviously they parted ways. Matt's going to move on to the new 410 team, LFG Racing, which, man, the meme ability of that is awesome. Hopefully that is pun intended for, not pun, but like coolness intended for LFG, and followed the Clay Balls. Left the X team right before Matt did, and he's with a partner there, and Matt is going to join up with them next year in whatever number it is. Do anybody know the number of that car? We know the number of that car? I don't think that's been announced yet, but
It's LFG. It should be 12 for Brady.
the X team will move on with whoever for next year. They already had Aaron Bollinger in it, and Greg Wilson for some reason in Charlotte.
If
That
that
went
bottom
well.
would have came in, look out.
That went real well.
Yeah, it was some year it would have came in. But this is just disappointing. I think Matt would agree, right? I've worked a lot with Matt this year. Talked to him a lot, and it just seemed like every week it was like, motor combination or trying this or testing that, or we got this back. And it was just never quite seemed like there was a clear path to what they wanted to get done and put it all together. So just a tough year.
I give him a C also. Jimmy, you made the comment that the speed was better than the results. I'm going to go the exact opposite. I think there were nights where it's a Matt Campbell type track where you just hold it wide open against the fence. Now, I don't drive the car, obviously, but nights where the top is very dominant and you think, oh, this is a Matt Campbell track. If he can start up front, if he starts in the first 3 rows, he's going to walk away with it. And they just weren't really relevant. Like last year, they had a stretch where they were probably one of the best cars at Lincoln. I don't think that was a year-long thing, but this year I didn't see it once. They had the one win. I think it was in like March. They were pretty good that night, but other than that, I didn't see where they were even a threat for a title or a win really the rest of the year. They just didn't even really look like the same team. And obviously with one of the owners splitting away and then Matt going with that guy, maybe there was some animosity behind the scenes that we don't know about. It's not any of our business. Maybe that led to some of the struggles. But that's just what I seen was it seemed like a few guys stepped forward this year at Lincoln, and the X that car was not one of them.
Yeah, tough deal all around. Looks like the new car will be number 10.
10.
So I tell you, we didn't get into this, but the announcement of LFG Racing coming into the series into Pennsylvania, number 10, and also the announcement this last week, Tyler Brem, new 410 team coming back. Tyler Brem, former 358 guy, drove for Recchione, and that team he's been running 305 a little bit. Another new 410 team coming in. So I know that there's been some talk about some teams going away, which is a fact, but there's always that kind of like, hey, we got a new deal coming in. So hopefully nothing but success for these teams. And while we're being a little bit harsh about, results and things tonight, the more teams we have, the better we are. So hopefully good luck to all these parties moving forward for sure. Yeah, right? There we go. 100% pun intended. LFG Racing. I fucking love it. Those shirts better be great, by the way. Whoever the marketing side, these shirts have to be great.
What's
Whatever
LFG?
you put on
Lincoln's freaking great? Or
Yeah, that's probably it.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I was
exactly what
thinking.
it
That's the
is.
only acronym I could think for it.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what a season ticket holder would say.
Let's move to our next driver, who was, I think, very
Whoa.
similar to who we just talked about. Aaron Bollinger 32 starts, 1 win, 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s. His only win was the Kevin Grobrecht Memorial, but it actually Ashton Torgerson got DQ'd, and Aaron Bollinger, who finished second, assumed the win. Myself, Jeremy, Chris, all went with the C. The audience went with 28% B and then 17% B minus. I have a hard time seeing where the B's coming in. I thought this was it was a fast car. You know what I mean? I think they were there top 5, top 10 most nights. But I mean, in comparison to maybe what our expectations were, I think this was definitely a down year. So I'm really having a hard time seeing where the B is coming. Ryan, what do you think about Aaron's season?
I had a C plus. A little bit of recency bias in that they weren't really relevant the first half of the year, but that race where they did win the Go Brett Classic, I think it was in September. Um, I know that they won from a 1A DQ and the 1A's tight slider on Macri, so maybe they were a third place car that night. But he drove by the 48 and the 23 that night, and they started to show speed that kind of expected that they could have had all year, and they just I don't know if it was maybe a funding issue. Obviously, we know that team shut down now, so maybe it was a funding issue that they were just kind of using up what they had left. Could be a ton of things. We know Aaron has the skill to get it done, and we know that car is good enough, but for some reason, it just didn't mesh most of the year. But towards the end, they showed a good bit of speed. I know. I think it was the first Outlaw race in May. Aaron got upside down in like the B or the C, and he was pretty shaken up, and maybe that had some lasting effects. I'm sure there's tons of excuses that we could run through, but um, I wouldn't say it was a letdown of a year. I wouldn't think that they're proud of it, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was. I don't think it was that terrible. So I think I went with a C plus.
Agreed.
Yeah, I really honestly here, I think there's a lot of similarities between the last driver we talked about and Aaron here. Now, I don't think the swings were as big, meaning like we showed speed and then where were we? And we showed speed and where were we? I think, when I look at the years again, put up Matt Campbell 2024 and 2025, put up Aaron Bollinger 24 and 25. I went into 2025 thinking both of these guys are ready to make the leap and win multiple races in a year and really compete for wins with the Troys and the Dannys and the Freddies. Go back. He ran 5 less races this year, 1 less win, 1 less top 5, and 3 less top 10s. Money is about equal, $3,000 less. About the same season, but less wins and I think, less visibility at that very front of the field like we saw last year at times.
Mhm.
Pass a lot of cars, get into the top 5, really like, holy shit, there's the 5. Holy shit, there's the 5. There were moments, but not nearly enough and nearly consistent enough. And I know, and I think all of us see what Aaron can do and know the potential because we're there every week or we're watching every week. Ryan, I know Ryan's there every week. I know I was there every week this year, I think for but one race maybe. I know Aaron. I like Aaron. We've had him on the show. I know he can drive a race car fast, but it's all got to be put together, I think. And again, more and more we go, time trialing matters so much, right? We're going to get some handicap shows, and those nights can be fucking wild cards. There, you don't know what's going to happen. But when you time trial well, you set yourself up, and it just wasn't there. It's kind of the same thing as the X, right? So we'll see what Matt has going forward, or Aaron has going forward here. I know he ran Baps or Bridgeport in the 19.
Yeah, Bridgeport.
That
Yep.
they're right, the 19. So we'll see what he has going for 20, and y'all obviously ran the X car for a weekend. So we'll see kind of how things go for 2026 for Aaron. Hopefully, we see him on the racetrack more than we don't.
Agree. Last driver for the PA Posse section here is Tyler Ross. 47 starts, no wins, but 9 top 5s, 21 top 10s. He's finished 6th in Lincoln points. Myself, Jeremy, and Chris went with a C. The audience with 21% went with a B plus.
This is what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Y'all are too soft. You bunch of bitches. Grow a pair and evaluate these guys. Y'all are just like, what? Everybody likes everybody except Freddie. What? Y'all love
Yeah.
everybody except Freddie? Come on, guys. Now, and when I say that, I'm not downing Tyler Ross. I'm going to have a conversation about this, and I'm going to start the conversation real quick, and then see if y'all agree with me. This guy right here has as much momentum ending this season going into next year as anybody in Central PA. Agree or disagree?
If he had a win, I would agree a little bit more.
I mean, I'm putting him in the same category as the last two.
Yeah.
Momentum aside, neither here nor there. To me, they're all three. It's the same picture. What we thought they could do versus what they did. He doesn't have a win, but the raw speed we thought was there.
I think the speed's there.
Right,
but
but
the results aren't.
It's maybe it's a little different from the other guys where we thought they had the speed and they got the
Yeah.
results, but they're all in the same category. They could, to me.
Brian?
Yeah, I gave him a C plus. No wins in almost 50 starts. I don't think that obviously they're not proud of that. Coming off of the year before, I think he had a win at BAPS the year. I know he had a win at BAPS the year before. He had a Lincoln win too. A lot of speed, very competitive, and I think that the speed was still there this year, but maybe just the luck wasn't, and some maybe the things that fell their way in 24 didn't fall their way in 25, and I don't think it was a bad year. Tore quite a few cars up. I think Port, the first race, they got upside down on the front stretch. Got together with Freddie once, Norris once. Like they tore a few things up, and when he talked about the car at the start of the year on here, they had an all white car. I think they might have broke that out a little earlier than they were expecting, but I just don't think it was a great year for them. That's why I went with a C plus, maybe a couple wins to get into the Bs, but he definitely had speed, just not the results. And unfortunately, results are what are going to pay the bills for those guys. So maybe next year.
This is a guy that I have. This is a guy I have my eye on for 2026 and making a leap. And based on some time trial things, based on some things I've talked to Tyler about, like we really turned the corner, found some things, and I think we found some speed. I think he's riding a pretty good wave of confidence right now. And he really kind of is getting, he ran his own stuff and then he didn't. Now he's back in it. This will be the year 3 full time back in his own stuff. He drove for some other people. So, I have my eye on Tyler Ross next year to be a guy who takes a leap back into the win column in multiple times. Might be my bold take for 2026. We'll see. But all season matters. I mean, who knows what happens, right? That momentum goes away quick and next season could start as a freaking disaster and it just doesn't ever happen. But I feel like his trajectory very different than the last two people we talked about, Matt and Aaron. Very different. I think the beginning of the year started that way. It was pretty rough, pretty challenging. But they feel like they've turned a corner with this 5 car and they're on the right direction for 2026. So I guess time will tell.
Did they lose a motor a couple weeks ago at BAPS? I know he was up front and I'd had a good chance to win that race, and then we were off turn 2, but coming off turn 4, it just stopped. I'm not sure what happened, but I got a lot of speed that night too, and just bad luck. And hopefully, if it was a motor, it's nothing too serious where it hinders them going into next season. Just family-run teams, it's hard. It's hard to find the funding and everything to get that fixed back in the car and to continue building for next year. So. But I think he'll have a big year next year.
And the other thing I'll say is this is a guy who won't back down from anyone. And we've seen that multiple times this year. And I think that bodes well at times where, yeah, I may not have a ton of stuff, whatever, but I'm not going to just lay over and give you shit because you get aggressive with me. I don't know if that's everybody in the field. And we've seen it a few times this year. I'm here for it. Hopefully it pays off and he gets some wins from doing that. Because I think when you run up front and you have that attitude sometimes, you're going to end up probably winning some races because of that aggressiveness. So I'm here for it. I'm excited to see what he can do next year for sure. So sorry to dominate that one, but
no.
I just feel very
I-
differently about a trajectory
I-
as we end the season
Yep.
versus some others.
Yeah, he was really fast at Bridgeport. I think he set quick time at Bridgeport, and he was really fast running up front.
It's like there's a Eastern PA, New Jersey guys like going to Bridgeport. It's weird, right? Kyle Reinhardt, Tyler Ross, Justin Whittall.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing when they race it, quote unquote, home. Wild.
That'll wrap us up for the PA posse portion. I think a really strong year all in all for a lot of these drivers. Some maybe we're expecting a little bit more, but I think there's some surprises, and I think the posse is stronger than ever. We're going to go into, and probably go a little bit faster through some of these guys now. We're going to the World of Outlaws. First driver up is your 2025 World of Outlaw champion.
Oh.
David Gravel. 72 starts, 18 wins, 58 top 5, 66 top 10s. Like I said earlier, all these stats that I have here do not include last night. So not that it would make a difference here for Gravel, who broke last night. Some of his notable wins, he won Hard Knocks. He won the Roth Classic. He swept Bike Week. He swept the Cotton Bowl, and he swept both nights at Oshweekend. So a lot of sweeps there where he just dominated a weekend at a track. All of us went with an A+. It's hard to go against an A+. I was leaning on an A just because of his standards. I think, he wasn't he had a bad Knoxville Nationals. He had to come from 19th to finish 5th at Kings Royal. He had a P6 at Natty Open. But man, 92% top 10 rate against the World of Outlaws. Doesn't get much better than that. 81% top 5. The wins aside, won a quarter of his races. Just fantastic season, well deserved. Championship.
One B main all year.
That's crazy.
One. The amount of quick times I was listening. If any, by the way, okay, this will be a pause moment. We invited Justin Fiedler in here, and he ignored us. Okay, we'd love to have him on. Last year we had Jeremy Elliott.
Oh,
We
you
love
got
Jeremy.
me.
We asked Justin Fiedler. Nothing. He big timed us. But go listen to his pod, even though he big timed us. Go listen to his pod from today about some of the stats about gravel this year. This has to be one of the best years in the history of sprint car racing.
Yeah.
Against the best of the best competition, right?
Mm.
Whatever. I'm not even going to get into the whatever, but this is the World of Outlaws, period. End of sentence. This is one of the best statistical seasons of anybody in the history of the Outlaws. One of the, not wins aside, Donnie had the most wins since Donnie in 2018 or 17, but go listen to his pod today, the whatever they call it, whatever he calls that thing.
Dirt Tracker
Go check
Daily.
it out. That's it. I'm not a David Gravel fan, but I got to respect this. This is insanity how good this is. Go ahead.
I think there's
And
nothing
Ryan,
else
we're
to say.
thankful you're here, buddy.
Nothing else to say. David Gravel
I
did
feel the
what he's
love.
supposed to do, and even if he put him on a high limit tour and maybe a few less wins here and there, but he's still going to compete every night. Like, let's stop pretending. I'm not a David Gravel fan either, but let's stop pretending that he wouldn't compete night in, night out with Rico, Brad Sweet. If
For sure.
Brad Sweet was still in the Outlaw Tour, he actually might lose to David Gravel both the last 2 years. Like, come on.
Just unbelievable.
Ryan, what'd you give him F? Okay. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I had a couple guys on I did a little note sheet here just to maybe have a few things to jot down for some guys, and a few guys I just wrote duh, and because obviously he's an A+. So yeah, I just have duh on my sheet for Gravel.
Yeah.
There you go.
50% A+.
This is. Yeah, I
from
hate to
the
not give him
audience.
his flowers from all these stats, but let's keep moving along because if you got anything else to say, just don't.
Then you're wrong. Yeah.
In the crowd, yeah.
Next driver is Buddy Kofoid. 75 starts, 12 wins. Make that 13 wins because he did get a win last night. 48 top 5s then, 64 top 10s. Second in Outlaw points. 108 or 100 800 Jesus, $809,000 won this year, and that's not even counting last night, which would probably be another 25,000. 84% top 10, 63% top 5s. Won a high limit Eagle Nationals race. Won the Ironman 55. Basically swept all the big Houston's races. Huge season, definitely. At least for myself, I think he exceeded expectations a little bit. I gave him an A. Jeremy went with an A+. Chris went with a B+, And then 50% of the audience went with an A+. Chris, B+, why?
I mostly forgot about the season he put together, to be honest. Like, there's just you kind of just forgot about. I remember early in the year, not
This
that long ago.
podcast where we talk about racing, I
No,
completely forgot that he raced this
we
year.
go back.
I forgot this guy existed.
We
Who
go
the
back.
fuck is Buddy Kofoid?
Let's go back.
I thought we were ranking paint schemes.
Go back a few months
I
ago.
don't like to change this year to that in red. I don't know.
Go back to a few months ago, and I think on this podcast, or maybe after the show, Jeremy was talking about Buddy being great, and Jimmy's like, no, I don't see it. Maybe it's before Summer Nationals, something like that.
Yeah.
And I maybe just never recovered from that. I kind of forgot. Like, I remember him getting wrecked by gravel. That was big. Yeah, just another misstep.
Listen, I don't know if it's a misstep. Because here's the thing again.
It's a
If you're
quiet
measuring this,
season. It's a back half was really strong. I do think.
if you're measuring this against David Gravel, it's not fair to necessarily give him an A+ if Gravel's the A+.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think B+ is a little bit harsh based on that, because where would you put the other guys if this is a B+? Where's everyone else below him in
Wait
points
till
or
you
in
see.
the Outlaws, right? So like,
Wait till you see where I put them.
oh, I know it's coming. But listen, I'm not gonna kill you for it, but I'm an A+ for this guy because I'm not measuring him against David Gravel. I'm measuring him against Carson Macedo. I'm measuring him against, this is year two. That's it on the Outlaw Tour. Two. Young ass guy in a 410 going up and doing this kind of shit on the Outlaw Tour after a rookie season. It doesn't just happen. That doesn't just happen by luck. This guy is one of the most talented people on the planet in a 410 wing sprint car. And the races that he won, the way he competed, the speed that car has every single night, and shit I've seen in person, standing in the infield watching this guy race the race car, he's going to win championships in touring series over the years. This is an A+ season. I also understand where I'm going and saying earlier, well, if this is A+, what's next year if he wins fucking 15 races and he wins Knoxville or he wins Eldora? I'm with you. It's still an A+ next year. But this is an outstanding season to go and eclipse Carson Macedo and Logan Schuchart and Sheldon Hansfield and all the other guys who've done it. And this is year 2 on the Outlaw Tour. That's where I'm at. Chris, I get it. You're like, hey, I missed this one. It's not that crazy. It's not egregious. It's not an F, but I'm going the other end of it and I've been on this bandwagon early. Y'all know it. Jimmy and I talked about it and argued about it. I've been on this bandwagon. I'm staying on it until I have a reason to fall off. Go ahead, guys.
Ryan?
A+.
Yeah.
I mean, with point money, he's easily over $1 million in earnings this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about the money, but when you're that much higher than everybody else in money, it becomes somewhat about the money with my grade. Second in points, I know a lot of people before the season, there's some people had him in there. I was expecting more from our next guy. I thought maybe Buddy would be third or fourth. And just there were some nights where he made Gravel look like he wasn't in the same field. So, yeah, I think he had an A+ season.
I went with an A just because he was second in points. I did kind
Fair.
of, me and Jeremy did go back and forth on him a couple times this year where I just didn't think he was actually going to take that next step, and he did. He really did take that next step where he is going to be a threat for this title next year. Granted, things stay the same, which it sounds like they will. Won some big races. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, just he wasn't quite David Gravel. A couple less wins, and actually, he was a little more comparable. Actually, when we go to the next guy, he was actually pretty comparable to him too. They were pretty equal in some stats here. So, but yeah, A+. 50% of the audience agreed. 33% went with an A. So, fantastic season for Buddy Kofoid. Definitely somebody we're gonna be talking about a lot. And I think I agree with Jeremy. Championships is something he's gonna win as long as he stays in the 410. Next guy we're talking about, Carson Macedo. My preseason pick to win the Outlaw title. Not quite there, but 74 starts. He had 12 wins as well, 39 top fives, 57 top tens. He won the Silver Cup high limit race at Lernerville. So just kind of like Buddy, both won a high limit race. won the Doty Classic, won twice at I-55, and one at Atomic. Some of the notable wins there. 400 only won half the amount of money that Buddy won, but same win percentage. I guess not now because of last night. 77% top 10, 53% top 5. I went with an A. Jeremy went with an A minus. Chris went with a B plus, and the audience 37% went with an A. I thought it was a good season still for him. A little bit of a letdown because I thought he was going to compare, like I said, compete a little bit more for the title, but still a fantastic season, very comparable to Buddy Kofoid. Buddy's wins were bigger, but I think they were pretty comparable. Tailed off a little bit at the end, not up to their standards, I think, but I still think a fantastic season from him. Ryan?
I was with Chris on this. I had a B plus. I was expecting a closer fight, at least for gravel with the title. Didn't expect him to be third. It kind of reminds me of the year when Reitzel left the All Stars, and everyone said this is Eliason's year. He's going to come in 26 and he's going to wax the floor. And Tyler Courtney showed up and said, "No, this is my title now." So sorry about that. Yeah, I feel like they had a pretty good year in terms of wins, but they've been together long enough where I feel like an Outlaw title should be the goal, and they just never were really a part of it since like May. So B plus, A minus, kind of same range.
Yeah, I agree with you here, and it was hard for me to go anything lower than an A minus because this is a pretty good season. Like, but if I give Buddy the A plus because I think Buddy out kicked his coverage, meaning like, hey, year two, didn't expect that. This is the opposite for me. Going, I expected more and got less. So while the stats are similar for me, this wasn't that grading of like stats versus stats. It was expectations versus reality. Yeah, 12 wins is nice, but like not finishing second in points or competing closer for the title to me was not an A or an A plus effort. So, or results, I should say. Not effort. I don't want to say that it was lack of effort, but results wise, yeah, similar to Buddy. But I think that money being double for similar stats is meaningful for sure. And I think expectations, where I think we were all expecting it was 41 and the two going at it for a title all the way through the year, and it really wasn't.
Yeah.
So I made minus here. How was the audience split on this?
Audience was 37% A, 18% A minus, 16% B plus. Those are your top three.
Yeah,
And
I think everybody's pretty
yeah.
close on this one.
Yeah, I was
pretty much all the way around.
I went both A with Buddy and Macedo just because their stats were very similar. But I will say, Buddy leaned more towards a plus, and Macedo leaned more to a minus. But I still think they're A seasons for both of those guys.
No doubt, it's hard. It's hard to like knock someone, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it was just
wins,
expectations versus reality.
Yeah, it's
no
hard
doubt.
to do anything less than an A for 12 wins. That's a hell of a season.
Yeah.
All right, next guy. This is where the controversy
boy.
is. Logan
Here it is.
Schuhart, 73 starts, 2 wins, 34 top 5s, 58 top 10s. He finished 4th in Outlaw points. His 2 wins came at Attica and I-55. Myself and Jeremy went with the B. The audience at 21% went with a B plus. Chris went with a D. That's right, D as in dog. Ryan, what's your grade first before we ask Chris what his deal is?
I was in the same.
Or do you want to?
Go ahead, Chris. Chris, you explain yourself first, and we'll tell you why you're wrong.
Well, 2 wins. You're 2 years removed from being a guy that we thought was a championship favorite. You're 12 years into your outlaw career. We expect more out of you, right? He has 9 KSE hard charger awards because he used provisionals for half of them to drive it through. You can't do this on the Outlaw Tour and be competitive. He's 4th in points. Behind him is Hodgeshield, who lost his ride, and Shots, who lost his ride. Other than that, it's guys that are rookies and didn't run the full schedule. I expect more out of you. It's not the strongest Outlaw field we've ever heard of, yet you're an afterthought in almost majority of the races.
Yeah, I had a B minus. I think that they were they're probably not happy with how the year went, but they had a lot of speed early, a lot of speed. They were up front in a lot of races. Kyle Pruitt, his first season on the road with them, and it was going really well. They weren't really relevant in the crown jewels, so I don't think they were. I don't think they deserved an A or an A minus in any of this, but I I I don't think that they were. Uh, I don't think that they were D bad.
Yeah.
In my opinion, compared to, fourth in the outlaw points, regardless if it's a down year or not, is fourth in the outlaw points. Sheldon behind him.
Well,
Yeah, I mean Sheldon's never a points racer. He's
think
gonna,
about this though.
most years he's gonna wing it.
Macri has more outlaw wins than Logan Schuchart this year, so there's
Macri
that.
has more outlaw wins than almost all the outlaws.
Yeah.
Just saying, Logan Schuchart's supposed to be a top tier outlaw, and it was an afterthought.
It's definitely
more
a
often than
down
not.
year, but I don't think it was for a lack of speed. I think it was just you're racing against David Gravel and Buddy Kofoid every freaking night.
Yeah.
I mean, 34 top fives. He's almost clipping 50% top fives.
Yep. He
I
was.
mean, that's hard.
He actually had a higher top 10 percentage than Carson Macedo, and was right there, pretty much right there with Kofoid too. Kofoid was 84%, Logan was 79%. Top 10 rate, and then right there with them a little bit behind in top fives, so you almost 50%. So, yeah, I think he was a solid season, but it was hard to get wins. And I hear what you're saying, Chris. There's a lot of times where he had to beat a hard charger, he had to come from the back, but also he came from the back, which is hard to do. You know what I mean? Like he still made the best out of bad situations to stay getting himself points. And yeah, a down year for them. They probably expect to compete for more wins, but I still think a very, very good season for Logan. I think they found some consistency that maybe they didn't have, but then the top end kind of came down. I think they raised their floor, but their ceiling kind of came down a little bit compared to past seasons, if that makes sense.
All right. So, Chris, this is not a D, number one. It's not a D season. If this was a D, what was last year? Do you have any idea what they did last year?
Same thing. It's probably I overrated them last year. Because actually,
I think last year
we talked before the show. I wish I could go back to watch our show last year because I think we were pretty hard with him last year too.
we were, and I think I was C minus last year.
Right.
So let me give you some facts. 3 less races. Well, 70. I have 74 starts. Oh, it's updated, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, this year he had 7 more top fives, and he had the same amount of top tens. Won 40 grand more than last year. I think they showed a lot more speed this year over the course of the year than they did last year. Now, when I go back in time and further, yeah, is this the best years he's ever had? No. But based on last year being pretty much a disaster, all things considered, this year was an improvement over last year. So if you didn't give him an F last year, you fucked this year up, my friend, because he didn't get worse from last year, and he finished better in points. He had better top fives.
He also didn't really progress.
He had 2 less wins. He was the 14th ranked driver on sprint car ratings in the country. That's not a D effort. The top 14 drivers in the entire country that have drove a 410. It's not a D effort. But I think my B is a little bit high. Fair. I can also agree. I can also admit that I think it's probably a B minus. But I think that there's been flashes of like this. I watched him at Lincoln in this race where this picture was taken. That feature, he was getting the hell after it. He can pass cars. This car has speed. It all has to come together. I think Kyle Pruitt helping them out mid-season late was helped that team. I don't know what they have for next year going forward, but I hope that Logan obviously needs a team surrounding him that helps him go. That's clear to me. Got to have the right combination. I think that's everybody in the country and every sprint car ever. But hopefully they find that combination because I know Logan can win races, and he's not 2 years removed from $1.2 million in earnings. Now, $1 million helps that a lot, but D's a little harsh, and I think B's a little high. What was the grade split from the crowd on this?
So they were 21% B plus, 17% A minus, and then 13% B and B minus.
That's a hometown favorite
Yeah.
right there.
I think the crowd's a little high on it. I wouldn't argue a B minus here. I just think, just because it is the Outlaw Tour, the amount of top tens was comparable to Macedo and Kofoid, who had great seasons. It was hard for me to go too much lower, so I can understand that. But I totally get Chris's train of thought here, and you expect a little bit more.
Ryan, as a guy who lives about 2 minutes from Lincoln Speedway, you're a Hanover guy. You're a Speedway 94 former employee and attendee and driver. You know this family. You know this history. I know you and I both watched him from pretty early days to where they're at today. Where do you evaluate kind of what 2025 was for this team?
Um, it's kind of just been kind of feels like status quo since I think 2020, the COVID shortened year. Schedule got changed all around. He competed with Sweet for the title, and then ever since then, they're kind of just a fourth to sixth place team on the Outlaw Tour. I expected the wins to be a little bit higher this year. Uh, I don't think that they're gravel Macedo buddy level, but those are also, those are high funded teams. This is still, they're not that Shark Racing's not hurting for money at this point, but they're still not at that level of those other guys. I don't know. I didn't think it was a bad year for them. Probably wanted a little more speed here to end the year, but again, crew chief was let go a few weeks ago, and I don't even know who was turning wrenches on the car. Maybe they were doing it themselves. I don't know, but it looked good come feature time, but you need a little bit more speed come qualifying. But I remember the first half of the year. I thought Kyle was with them. I thought he was with them from the beginning, but I remember when he started with them that the first thing was how great they were clicking together and how fast they were, and he was up front, and that's probably what propelled Kyle into the 17 crew chief role. Um, I don't know. They didn't really let me down. I think Carson Macedo let me down more than Logan did. I expected Carson Macedo to be on a higher platform than he was compared to where Logan ended up. Um, Again, it's fourth in the outlaw points in where they're split now, and maybe another year he's fifth or sixth, but that's a maybe. Maybe in another year, I don't know, things go differently, and they're second in points, but it's all what ifs. And what happened was they finished fourth in points. They won 2 races, but they still finished top 5 at nearly 50% of the races. So yeah, I don't think it was a bad year. They're kind of met my expectations. But I do think they would want to be on the top step a few more times. But how many wins did Gravel, Macedo, and Buddy account for? At least 50% of the outlaw races.
If
At
not
least
more, yeah.
Yeah. So it's to spread the other 50% out amongst your PA locals and your other outlaw guys. I mean, there's not a lot to go around.
Right. Santos says you got to take into consideration he had no crew chief the last half of the year. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was an awful year for him, but yeah, I think they're definitely looking for something a little bit more. And definitely gonna be an interesting team to watch in the offseason here as they go into next year.
I think it was in like the last month though, because it was the National Open when
It wasn't the whole half. It wasn't a half a year for sure.
I think it
It was more
was
recent than that.
Yeah, it was right before the National Open, I think, because Ripper was let go
Yeah,
at the
'cause
National Open.
when we interviewed him, it just happened a week or 2 before the Natty because when we interviewed him, we talked about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't half the year for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you definitely saw, like at least this weekend here at World Finals, you saw a decline when Kyle left. But I'm sure they'll pick back up. They'll find someone, and that's the thing is, I think the 1S has kind of been a stepping stone for other guys for years. Is they can't provide the crew members and the crew chief. They can't provide those guys the same luxury that the 2 car, the 41, the 1S, the 49, the 7BC. Those guys, they can pay their crews well, and not saying Shark Racing can't, but those guys will always have better opportunities with those other teams. It's just the way it is. They're kind of a stepping stone. But they've done a lot with a little for years, and Yeah, I wasn't let down by their year.
Fair enough. What do we got next?
Next driver is Sheldon Hodenshield, who had 71 starts, 4 wins, 29 top 5s, 45 top 10s, 5th in the World of Outlaw points, and his most notable win was that National Open at Williams Grove this year. I went with the B+, Jeremy went with the C+, Chris went with the C-, and with 21% of the vote from the audience, they went with a B+ as well. I know for myself, I went from a B to a B+ just because of the Natty Open. Otherwise, this is a B season, but he had more wins than Logan. Decent amount of top 10s and top 5s. Obviously, they're making some changes there. He'll be in a different car and everything, but about status quo for Sheldon all season.
And the reason I didn't give him a D is because of that National Open win to a C-. And before Mandy complains, your driver's not even on the list.
I don't know how long of a discussion you want to have here, but this is the winner of the year. He finally gets away from that crazy bitch of an owner that I keep hearing about. And ever since he said he was leaving, look at the performance gain.
That's true. Yeah.
Think about the stress. Like, hey, fuck it, I'm out of here. And he goes and wins and running up front, and like the Sheldon we all saw. There's some problems here for a long time. I think. I don't know.
I agree.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear things. All right, we're just fans. We hear things. We get these rumors. We get this stuff, and we're like, all of a sudden, this guy says he's quitting, and he's going out and winning fucking races. Not only races, but the Williams Grove National Open on the bottom, running the bottom.
Yeah.
This guy is unbelievable, man. The happiest guy on the planet. He's probably the winner of the whole fucking show, and I'll give him a C+ for the year overall. But it's probably an A+ in the last month or two.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Ryan?
I think I've argued about Sheldon for years. I think people we all grade guys differently, and you've said it a few times tonight. If gravel's the bar, everyone else is below. But if you compare what the expectation is, my expectation for Sheldon is never that he's going to be an outlaw champion. I've never once went into the season and think, well, Sheldon has a chance at the title. My expectation is he's going to win 10 races and destroy 10 cars. That's just what he does. But he didn't do that this year. I don't remember him tearing a whole lot of stuff up. He choked a few wins away. He didn't tear a whole lot of stuff up, but he also wasn't up front a lot either. He didn't have the 10 wins. Someone told me one of the nights at World Finals, they interviewed him after the heat race, and he must have said something about it's hard when you come against the Outlaws and you're underpowered. So clearly, it's not an amicable split between him and the 17. It's been pretty ugly here for a little bit. But my expectation isn't that he was going to show up and win the title. I gave him a B. I think 4 wins is low. Usually he's a 9 to 10 win guy, but he's never going to be the top of the points. He's just, that's how his dad was. He's going to go out there and he's going to be the most exciting guy. He's going to sell the most merch. He's going to maybe win the most races, but he ain't going to win the points. He doesn't slow down to run second or third some nights. He's chasing that win. So I gave him a B. I didn't think it was their best season. Honestly, I think it was one of their worst, but expectation versus reality for me is that he was kind of just right there.
Ethan says D for not having Hunt Brothers in the car anymore.
Your logo doesn't match the colors. That's fine.
That's going to hurt him.
Versus Ryan, what was your grade?
I gave him a B.
Okay, so a B on expectations versus reality. Isn't this like a D then? Because we expect 10 wins.
No, only D's are bad when I put it on Logan Schuchart.
Like, think about what you said, though, right? You're
not wrong. You're not wrong, but expectation is he's also going to tear a lot of shit up, and he didn't do that either. He was just kind of there. So I think B was probably a little generous on me. I could see the C+ to C range. I don't know. I just don't think he let me down that much. I think 10 wins was probably generous. Usually probably 7 to 8 on a good year for them. But I don't know. It didn't. People are surprised when he wrecks out of the lead or when he wrecks running 10th, and it just doesn't. That stuff just doesn't shock me because it's just what he's always done.
Troy.
I think the hardest. Oh, sorry.
So Troy here basically said, echoing the same thing. Sheldon got to learn to finish races off. How many he lets go, he will never win titles. Exactly what I think that's the consensus on him.
Ryan, and what you said is fair. He didn't tear anything up. The hardest thing he hit this year was that official when he got on probation. So, I'm with you. I guess I'm with you on a positive note, huh?
I know. I remember at least one that he choked away. I think it was River Cities, and he ran in the back of a lap car. And I say choked away. That's a harsh term. Uh, gave it
He's done
away,
that in
I
the past.
guess.
That's not the first time.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's what I mean
mean-
is you're gonna expect Sheldon to lose 2 or 3 races a year that he's supposed to win,
Yeah.
and he's probably gonna drive his dick off and win 2 or 3 that he wasn't supposed to win. So, and he's gonna 2 or 3 times tear that car up for trying to do it. So it's just kind of always how he's always been. I don't really think that this was a disappointing year. He definitely wasn't up front as much as they'd like to be, but I don't think it was crazy bad.
Ryan,
Is
did you
there a
choke away
happier
an
guy?
iRacing win by hitting a lap car?
What's that?
Did you choke away an
That wasn't
iRacing win
fair.
by hitting a lap car? I
It was good
saw that
talking to you
somewhere.
guys. I'll catch you next season.
I guess that's it.
I guess that's it for me.
Yeah. Is there a guy going into the offseason though than Sheldon?
No.
Is there anyone
Probably
happier?
not.
No, and I'm
probably
excited to
not.
see what he does next year. I think seeing kind of him let loose here at the end of the season. Yeah, who knows what could happen next year.
I hope for the best with that car. That 18 hasn't proven to me anything that with I think pretty talented guys in it, that it's a 6th place car. I hope they can get the right combination, get that thing to the front, because I hope for the best.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next one. This one's bad. Donnie Schatz. 72
I'm not that
starts.
far off. I was like, oh shit. And then like seeing this, I'm like, okay, I'm not that far off.
I did the same thing as you, Jeremy.
72 starts, 0 wins, 11 top 5s, 36 top 10s, 6 in the Outlaw points. No wins, lost the Tony Stewart ride, bounced around. I kept them above an F for 2 reasons. One, to kind of keep persevering, finding rides, bounced a bunch of rides around, and finished the season off. So props to him, because it could be easy just to fold up and be like, nah, I'm done, and focus on next year. And also because he burned the hell out of Chris during our pre-race show at Natty Open. That was one of the
And he
best
signed our
moments ever.
sign, too.
And he signed the sign too. So I almost bumped him up to a C for it, but
Look, I should have given him an A+ for that one.
He gets
pretty
a B out of
miserable.
respect.
Not just a miserable season for his standards, but a miserable season, honestly, as a whole.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So we all went with the B except for Jeremy. Jeremy went with the full F.
All right, I'm going to talk about the F, because the F to me is obvious. It's a
Mhm.
performance. This guy is better than that. This isn't to me, a Jimmy Johnson level fall off 7-time champ to run in these shit cars for 35th. Like, this guy didn't forget how to drive a sprint car. We saw it the other night with a podium. This is an F for the whole freaking thing from the start. And it started last year, I think. It started last 2 years probably. That relationship grew old. There was a lot of shit talk, a little bit of back and forth, mostly from Tony Stewart about, the program and where it went, and basically blamed it all on Donnie. We got to meet Donnie, got to interview him, which is something I'll never, ever forget. That was so cool of him to do that. He doesn't know me from anyone or us from anybody. But the performance was there, and I think if he was sitting here today, he'd be like, no, it was an F. But I should have given him an F+ because he was unemployed shorter time than I was this summer. So that's a win. But all things told, man, I hope he gets into a situation next year. I thought it was going to be kind of announced during National or World Finals there, and it wasn't. But if he gets in the situation that we've all heard he's going to get into, when it's all said and done at the end of 2026, this should look a lot better. I hate doing that to a guy I just met and was so gracious to us. And like, I walked up to this guy, he didn't know me from anybody. And I asked him like, hey man, would you come in and chat with us? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, holy fuck. I just met Donnie Schatz and he said yes. And he doesn't know me. This should be an A just for that. I should have put shock factor A. This was not a shock factor to put an F. And I think if you sat down and talked to him, he would give himself that, like Whitall did, right?
Mhm.
Because this says if you put a no picture up there and you wrote these stats, very few people would think Donnie Schatz.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Go ahead, guys.
That's all that needs to be said.
Yeah, I don't think you're right. Honestly, I think a lot of D's out of respect for Donnie and just everything that he's done.
I couldn't bring myself to click F.
Yeah.
I had F clicked, and I was like, hey, it's just I can't do that to him. So I went with D.
I looked at it.
If
I looked at it for minutes, bro. Like
yeah, it
I,
was hard. It
I
was
think I
hard. I
have
gave him
to,
D for
don't I?
Donnie. That's all. I couldn't bring the F. If I mean, I've heard a few different rumors for next year. If it's I'm not gonna shy away. I've heard it a few different places, but if it's the second big game car, I've heard that that's going to happen. I've heard it's not going to happen. I've heard Gravel got pissed about it and was, didn't like it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I've heard a lot of different rumors what he's doing. And when I saw his video pop up the last day of World Finals on my Facebook feed, I didn't love the way that it started. That it kind of looked like it was hey, this is our last hurrah. We fought to get to the end, and I didn't like the way that looked. I hope he's back, and I hope he's back to old Donnie too. I don't think he's going to be old Donnie, but I hope he at least wins a few races, maybe top 5 in points, but at least some relevancy. Because I mean, the second half of the year was nothing short of really. It was a struggle for them to get out there with what it took to get the team together and how many people it took to come together to get it together to get everyone out there. But it was embarrassing, the car on track. I mean, it didn't even look like he's tight on the curb, jumping the cushion at Williams Grove. I mean, it just didn't even look like he ever drove a sprint car before. It didn't look like Donnie. So I hope they come back to their old form. I mean, he's probably one of my favorite guys on the tour, and I'd like to just see relevancy again.
Yeah.
Shout out JVI Group, by the way, local Pennsylvania company, put up the money. Big Kyle Larson backer. When I worked at Bob Ruth Ford, they always service their trucks over there, and they're local out of Dillsburg, and they put up some funding, obviously, to help out Donnie get in this car with Jason Sides and local PA roots. JVI Group, big supporter of sprint car racing. So I don't know what they do. I know they're construction / whatever, but check out JVI Group if go support those who support racing, because the reason Donnie Schatz was on the track in that 15 is because of JVI Group and big part of that. So support those who support racing.
Don't ignore that other little bit of a tinier logo right underneath the JVI Group. Nasty Nate Racing also helped put
Nasty
that car
Nate.
out on the track. So shout
Our
out
guy.
Nasty Nate too.
Hopefully he's watching, man. I don't know
didn't see him in the chat at all.
Chat?
He had surgery again last week. I saw him. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, that means he shouldn't be doing anything except being here on our show. He should be watching.
Hope he's doing all right. He's a good guy.
One more Outlaw driver, and this one was missed on the form, but we did get a couple write-ins for Bill Baylog. 71 starts, 3 wins, 18 top 5s, 40 top 10s, 7th in Outlaw points. His wins came at Talladega, a Huset's prelim, and out in Paris, California. I went with a C+, Jeremy went with a B, Chris a B-, and averaging out some of the write-ins, it came to about an A for the audience. Here's a couple write-ins. What do you guys think about Bill Baylog's season?
Oh, hey guys, I have thoughts, but I think they're going to be similar. So, Chris, why don't you go first?
It's a guy that I think everyone likes. It's always been you feel like an underdog story. So he gets the 3 wins and it's kind of random places. Everyone loves when Bill Baylog wins. He tear a lot of cars up, so that's not ideal. On the PA swing while he's rebuilding cars in Dakota's garage, or the Gibbler garage, it's like that's wild. So you kind of appreciate. It's kind of takes me back to where Shark Racing was when they first started going on tour, almost. Maybe a little better funding, but Bill Baylog's a likable guy, at least from the outside looking in.
Yeah,
Go
ahead, Jimmy.
I went with the C just because the lack of consistency. But the wins were good. He surprised me at times with the speed, especially in Natty Open. I mean, he damn near won that. But then there was times where you forgot he was even there. You know what I mean? And just that's not the consistency you need out on the road. Yeah, he had 40 top 10s. But I mean, other than that, like he either had speed that he was going to win or he was barely in the top 10. So he needs to find a little more consistency. C+, still a solid season. Surprised me a little bit at times.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the funding this team has, the crew. I just see a car on track that it's an owner driver, and and they impress me a lot. I mean, there's nights where they're off, but he was up front this year a lot more than I was expecting. I mean, 18 top fives. When you think about who you got, like we said earlier, Gravel, Macedo, and Kofoid, there's usually three of your top five right there pretty much every night. So, I mean, to clip off 18 top fives against those guys with your owner driver team, that's impressive. The National Open, he led until I think it was past
Eight to
halfway.
go, 5 to go. I mean,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't
he was
long.
really good. And like that's not he doesn't come from that background. Wisconsin doesn't have half miles like Williams Grove. Um, so hey, he was very impressive. I would put him in a B to B plus range. I didn't have a grade for him, but yeah, he was just they were really good all year. And that's a team seventh in points. Yeah, you look at it and Donnie was ahead of him, but Donnie is walking out of the season with their heads down, and Baylog should be walking out with their heads up because that's impressive.
This I agree, and I'm a big Baylog fan, and I talk to people. We talked about it on the show, and go back and look, and we before the Baps Outlaw race, I said guy to watch in this race is Bill Baylog, and he was a top 5. I just have that feeling like this guy's gonna be good at certain places. I didn't have Williams Grove on that list. That was fun to watch, and we were all kind of like, "Holy shit! If an Outlaw wins this, is Bill Baylog?" None of us are going to go home and be like, "Holy fuck, that was awful." We were all going to be kind of like, "This is pretty cool." He reminds me of like the Jason Side story, right? The
Yep.
underdog, maybe not the most money, but everyone kind of likes the guy. He don't take no shit from nobody. He's going to win some races, gritty, grind it out. I probably gave him a B simply because I'm a fan. Like, I sounds crazy, but like probably a little too high based on the performance when you look at this from an overall 1,000-foot view. I hope he's on the Outlaw Tour as long as he ever wants to be, and I hope he gets the funding to do it. And Anderson's maple syrup is available at Giant. I found it. I like it. It's really good. Check it out. Try it. It's it's worth trying. If you like syrup or you're a whatever,
Mandy
you
even
like your
said that.
fucking pancakes and waffles, go get some Anderson's.
Mandy even said Anderson's maple syrup alone needs to be worth a B plus, right?
Yeah, it is good. I found it. It's not the cheapest one on the shelf either. It's freaking good. Like
And
I
that
found
car,
it at
that's a
Giant.
nice car too.
Yeah.
When they came out with
Yeah.
that black and yellow car, that is a nice car. I wish the picture used would have been like one from the side that you could appreciate it. That's a good looking car there.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Ryan. Jesus Christ. All right. Listen,
Did you
I
choose
did that
that
in like
picture?
10. I did. I did like 10 minutes. I
See,
had all
this
these
is
up. Like I did
why
it.
I said the D was for Jeremy Zarfoss photography.
Oh,
Poor.
sucker.
Pause.
Any
Moving on.
any other thoughts on Bill Baylog? Solid season still for him. I mean,
Oh, they
Yeah.
should be proud of that.
yeah, for sure. I agree with all the points you guys said. All right, that'll do it for the main Outlaw drivers. We will get to like a rookie division where we go through all the rookie drivers for the tour real quick. But we're gonna move over to High Limit now, where this might be the best
Moving on.
season. This
Oh.
has to be the best season, maybe out of everybody in the country. Rico Abreu, 70 starts, 19 wins, 38 top 5, 55 top 10s. He was the High Limit champion, won 3 races at Knoxville, swept the Skagit Nationals. Also, to note, won the 360 Knoxville Nationals. 4 Outlaw wins on top of, in these 19. So they weren't just High Limit wins. 78% top 10s, 27% win rate, just crazy. A pluses across the board, and the audience was 70% A plus. Anybody have anything else to say? I mean, just fantastic
good.
season. I mean, just
Yep, that's an A+ year.
and it could. It's scary because it could get better next year as he moves over to TSR.
Yep.
Sounds crazy that we're not going to spend time talking about him, but I mean, what do you get? What can you say?
What else can you say? I mean, just fantastic season.
There's no discourse. It's an A+ from everybody.
Yeah, and did, like I said, the Outlaw wins, and just it didn't matter to competition. He was up front all, and it was crazy because at one point in the year I was like, oh man, he's not really winning like he was, but that was stupid. He was winning all year.
All I really say is maybe winning the national a touring championship puts him over the hump because he's always been that guy that's won a lot of races, but it's like but now he's won the title.
Yeah, but he never cared. He never really cared.
Right, he never cared,
Like,
but now it's like he showed
now he
consistency
does,
and wins.
here
Now
there it is.
something.
Exactly. Yeah. Good for Rico,
Next.
man. There's never been a place in the country. There's never been a place in the country he's gotten out with a win and people weren't cheering the shit out of him. Anywhere in the country. Super cool.
Let's move on to the next driver, and this driver retired after this season from full-time racing.
Some disappointment.
We were doing so good.
Brad Sweet, 67 starts, 5 wins, 38 top 5s, 51 top 10s, second in high limit points. A World of Outlaw win at Beaver Dam. Also wins at Kern, Central Arizona, Florence, and Lakeside. Myself and the fans split 25% A minus, 25% A. I went with an A. Chris went with a B plus, and Jeremy went with a B minus. Who wants to go on Brad Sweet here?
Ryan, unless you have something crazy, I'll go first. What's your grade?
Go ahead. I'm B plus.
All right. Okay. I went B minus, and it was almost a C. Now, I did this knowing he was retiring. I don't give him any bumping grade up because he's retiring. In fact, I think he's retiring partially because of this. And I think his performance this year is reflective of the fact that he knew he was done. And crew and all the shit and all these things. I don't think his focus. Okay. I can only guess his focus wasn't fully on racing. Least amount of top 10s since 2015, or top 5s. Least amount of top 5s since 2015. Least amount of top 10s since 2014, which was not even full time on a 410. 5 wins from 11 last year. 2022, he had 5 wins. 2017, he had 5 wins. Arguably one of his worst seasons as a full-time 410 driver on a tour. Arguably.
I do want to say this, though. He's ran probably 30 less races this year than he would in a normal year.
He did run 67. Last year he ran 69. There was a 72 year. There was an 82 year in 2021.
Right.
But then there were 61, 78, 76. There were some high 80s. So, yes, there was some less races, but not some 20, 30 race drop off. And there were some years similar amount of races ran before at full-time level. $316,000 only was closest to $312 in 2022, $261 in 2020, $292 in 2016. From a full-time perspective, arguably one of the bottom third years of his 410 full-time career, and off into retirement. That's why I have the lowest grade on this sheet. That's it. That's all I got, gentlemen. Go ahead, because I've had 2 full glasses. I'm going to go take a piss. I'll be right back.
So for me, I kept Brad at an A because he had a higher top 5 percentage than Rico, actually, and the same top 10 percentage as Rico. So, I mean, he didn't have the wins. So, I mean, but it's still a pretty good season. Maybe more of an A minus season, and especially for his standards. But still, I mean, still the second best on the high limit tour. And still probably top 10 in the country, at least, you know what I mean? And he was a threat no matter what. That's all I could really say is just, the wins weren't there, but everything else still was, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if you give most of the drivers on this sheet this stat line, it's an A+ year.
Yeah.
But for a 6-time and reigning National Touring Series champion, no, it's not a great year. I have B+. I think what Jeremy said is not far off with the retiring. He's got so much on his plate that financially and I guess at a wearing yourself thin effort in both of them, I don't think he needs to drive a race car anymore. That he's so tied into racing and other aspects that he doesn't have to be in a car every night to make a living. So, I mean, not even just high limit. He's got NARC. He has one of the tracks out there. Yeah, but he has one of the tracks out on the West Coast that they manage. I can't remember. I think Silver Dollar.
Silver Dollar, yeah.
Yeah. So they So they have so much going on that like I can't imagine all that promoting the races that you're racing in and still competing at a high level. Like your mind's got to be going 1,000 different places. And you guys know as well as I do. You walk up to a driver in the pits, you don't talk to him from qualifying to feature. They are in a different mindset, a different zone, and this guy has everything else going on during that time. Is the merch trailer runs out of this certain size? Like probably not his worry at that point in time in the night, but there's shit that comes up that you're the owner of the series, brother. You got to go take care of it.
Mhm.
So it's hard to compete at the top level when your focus isn't on just driving. So I don't blame him for stepping away. It sucks. I mean, arguably he's probably in his prime. I don't think he's on the backside of it yet. But to see him step away in his prime, you lose a damn good driver. We're getting a good replacement that very well could get to that level one day. But I mean, it's one of the best drivers of our generation. Just decide to hang it up. So I gave him a B plus. I didn't think it was I didn't think it was a horrible year, but it's definitely not to Brad Sweet standards that we've seen in the past.
Sure. The standard
Sure,
was so high.
everything that you all said, I agree with, and Brad Sweet, if I remember right, never wanted to race forever. Not like a Donny Schatz or Kensert. He got to a certain point, he goes, "I'm good," and that's why he did all these moves on the business side for life after racing. He never wanted to race till he's 50, 55, whatever. For him, it's time to get out. I think if he were to race full time next year, he very well could win the championship again. I don't see it otherwise, but for this season, B plus is fair.
Yeah.
I think one thing that got forgotten is Sweet, Reitzel, and well, Tyler Courtney never came back, but Sweet and Reitzel both missed Sweet missed at least one race, and Reitzel
Right.
missed multiple. So this points battle, like
And
Rico didn't lose. I mean, they got
it still came down to the last race too.
right,
Sweet
and
was
the
still
medical
in-
provisionals that was for owner points. That wasn't for driver points, right?
I believe
Right.
it was
Yeah, so Sweet missed Lernerville. I mean, that's a zero on the board, and that changes things at the end of the year. Now, Rico very well, it's all what ifs. He very well could have stepped his game up and still won the title, but like Sweet was right there all year, and if it wasn't for one missed race, we could be talking about him being a seven-time champ.
Right.
So I don't think it was a bad year. They definitely don't have the wins to show for it, but it certainly wasn't their standard by any means.
Yeah, for me, like I said, just for me, comparable top 10s, top 5s to Rico, who probably had the best season out of everybody this year and took it down to the last race for the points championship, and doing that while, like you said, trying to balance all this other stuff. Didn't they change his entire crew in the middle of the year too? When
Yeah,
Casey
Knoxville.
decided, like right in the middle of the year, a
Yep, they
completely
were
new
light at the
crew,
scales for the 360 Nationals, and then the
Yeah.
whole crew was changed for the 410 Nationals. So,
So, obviously dealing with some other stuff there. Not the best season for him, but I mean, like I said, I think the bar was set so high for him, and you give this stat line to anybody else, they're over the moon about it. So
yep. Which it was crazy that they, with the whole crew thing, that Ty Wolfgang. I mean, he's been on the road for a few years, but I mean, they gave a young kid a chance, and then were surprised after half a season that it didn't work out. I'm like, well, what did you
Yeah,
think
what
was
did you
going to
think?
happen? Brad Sweet wasn't Brad Sweet his first 5 years in a car, but so and maybe it was a short leash because they knew Brad was retiring, and they said, well, we're giving the best chance now to go out on top. I don't know, but
maybe.
I
Yeah.
felt like that was pretty quick to yank Ty away.
Yeah. So yeah, hanging it up. We'll still see him in a car. It sounds like just probably more on a part-time basis, and I'm excited what he brings to the world of sprint car racing here in the future. Now that he can focus all of his time and attention to it. All right, next driver. This guy finished third in high limit points. Brent Marks, 75 starts, 6 wins, 22 top 5s, 50 top 10s. He won the Weikert opener. He won down at Texas, Lakeside, Lucas Oil, Douglas County, and a win at Williams Grove. 67% top 10 percentage, 29% top 5 percentage, one less top 10 than Brad Sweet. And he has a Outlaw top 5 and 4 top 10s with the Outlaws. That's not counting last night. I give him B plus. Chris in the audience went 25% B, and Jeremy went with the C plus. Ryan, what do you take about Brent Marks' season here?
I had a B plus. It was some nights, especially when he comes around here for some local shows when High Limit was off, um, where he picks right up where he left off, and he's one of the fastest cars in the field. And if it wasn't for Anthony Macri, he might have a few more wins just these local shows. Um, High Limit, I think it was very inconsistent. Like his win at Texas, he just kicked their ass. There was nights where that was what he did, and then there was other nights where he was a 12th place car, and you have no idea why. Nothing changed, but just struggling to find seemed like a decent balance across different types of racetracks. So I give a B plus. It was still a good year, third in points. In my opinion, the harder of the two series at the top. I think it was all right.
Well, third in driver, but fifth in owner, right? So
Fair, yeah.
there's that matters, right? And the fifth in owner is really like, hey, we a couple cars that had different drivers in it. We were fifth. Way more consistent this year. Way better West Coast swing. I think overall still a letdown over expectations for himself, right? Couple wins in Central PA. How many high limit wins? I know there's a Williams Grove win that wasn't high limit. Was there
I think
another
he had
non-high limit win?
It was
I
5
believe
high limit wins.
5 high limit.
And
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
one
so one
Williams
of them,
Grove
just
win.
that one Williams Grove win.
Mhm.
Okay, so 5 yen. Okay, 5 wins. I think there's a lot of people out there that would go, I'll take it. Not Brent. That's not the expectations. It's not the level. That's not where he and everybody else thinks that they should be. And yes, way more consistent this year. When you said about running 12th, Ryan, that's only 25 races out of the entire season finished outside the top 10. So I
Yeah.
think there's way more inside than outside. But this is a guy where we shouldn't be going, hey, look at 2026 to turn those top fives and tens into wins. We should be going, they should have already been wins. And I think he would agree with that, right? Like that isn't necessarily the goal. And yeah, this was okay. It's not like a horrible letdown, crazy, we failed thing, but I think it's from level of expectations versus reality again, right? What if Carson Macedo had these stats? What grade would we give him? Do we consider Brent a contender for titles? We should be. I think if Carson Macedo had these stats and that finish, what would his grade be?
Probably B plus.
He competes with Carson
plus.
Macedo, I think.
Yeah.
I think he
I'll
can.
be honest.
Right?
I didn't have Brent as a championship contender at the start of the year. I just think that the 24, the 49 there, I think Brent is good enough that he could do it, but I didn't think that it was reality. I mean, fifth place in points is where he was last year, and owner, driver, whichever. That's where he was last year, and it was kind of just that was kind of the expectation. I thought they would be a little bit better than they were, but I didn't think there was a big drop off.
No, I would say
No, I don't think
the
there
last
was. I don't think there was a drop off. I think there was a little bit of an increase over last year in the consistency, but he also gets a half a point drop, or like from a C plus to a B minus because of the yellow. It was awful, and it's going to be back
Yeah.
next year in some form. I don't like it. I don't love
I
it.
agree.
Oh, it was awesome.
He gets a
It's
little drop on
great.
the yellow. So
Yep, there's that. I do agree with
Chris,
that.
go ahead.
Yellow's dumb. But the last month and a half of the season, he really came on strong with the wins down the stretch. I tend to agree with it. I think he was inconsistent. You'd watch, he'd start up front, be good, or he was kind of ho hum, mid pack, whatever. And that's not the Brent Marks we're used to. But so you had a Weichert opener. When was Texas? When did he win Texas?
In the year.
It was the early one, I think.
Yeah.
So
When?
after
Oh,
Weichert, his next win was what? Lakeside, not that long ago. Lucas
Yeah.
Oil, Douglas. He bopped them all off pretty late in the year here. Maybe they hit on something. He looked good at Charlotte until we didn't both nights. Driving to the front and then late restarts fell back, which is odd. But yeah, I do agree that
Well, the
yellow
one he
sucks.
exploded a right rear right in front of me.
Yeah, that
I'm
does
sure that played into the
that definitely
falling back on
hinders
that one.
your chances of winning. Yes.
Yeah.
And then with the way the format was, it then put him behind the 8 ball for the heat race on Saturday. So now your one bad night turned into 2 bad nights.
I do think he should listen to Jeremy 2 years ago and went with baby blue, not yellow, but here we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm with Ryan here, where I think he kind of met my expectations. I didn't expect him to do much more than this, and I think it was still a really solid season. You know, You talk about Rico, you talk about Brett Sweet. Let's not forget about Tyler Courtney and who we're going to talk about, Aaron Reitzel, in a little bit too. If they didn't, he would be that fifth guy, and that's kind of what he was. And he was competing there. Like there was points and times in the season where those top 5 guys were separated by like 20 points. Like he was in the thick of that. So he's right up there with the top guys. So I think it was a pretty good season.
Yeah, 2026 will be interesting. The whole new crew, right?
Yeah.
Whole new crew, whole new outlook. We'll see kind of what other changes in the off season. We may not know. I know they battled this year through chassis changes between Maximum and RPM. So we'll see kind of where that goes next year with along with a whole new crew. So
And I
2026 could be interesting. We'll see.
do think a key building block is that West Coast swing that killed him last year. Wasn't as bad this year.
Mhm.
If he can use that next year,
Oh.
it's going to keep him in that battle much longer into the season.
For sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
All right, next guy, Justin Peck. He finished 4th in the driver points with the high limit series. 72 starts, 2 wins, 18 top 5s, 35 top 10s. His wins came at Butler and Ransomville. He also had 3 ASCS wins. Remember in January when he swept the entire weekend, that the season got started off really well. It was 360, don't get me wrong, but there was all the competition down there, and he swept all 3 nights. Looked really, really good in the same car. I went with the B minus. Audience here, 24% B plus. Chris went with the B. Jeremy went with the C. Second in a Tusky 50. He had 4 Outlaw top 10s. He was 14th in the Knoxville Nationals. Solid season from Justin Peck.
I had a C plus. My expectations probably shouldn't be so high because that car, doesn't matter who drives it, just seems to always be a letdown. I don't know what it is because they've changed crew chiefs. They've changed. I don't know if you can blame the Ford motor. I don't know, but something just doesn't work there. Something just doesn't work there typically. So I'm not sure. I was C plus. I think Peck is a hell of a driver. My expectation was that he would be at the Brent Marks level, and he wasn't really close from night in, night out. And they're very inconsistent. There's some nights where that car is just up front and then the next night they're using a provisional. It's just, again, I don't know if it's a car thing or a Peck thing because kind of had that in the 13, but the understanding is that the 26 is a higher funded ride with higher expectations. So you're thinking Peck gets in that car, that would be better results. It just kind of seemed like it was just the same year over year for them. So
Yeah.
I was C plus. I don't know. They kind of let me down.
I was between a C plus and a B minus. I went with a B minus just because I think he overperformed at some of the bigger races. Like I said, like he ran well in the Knoxville Nationals, finished second in Tusky 50. There's other times where it's like, oh wow, look, he's like right in there. You know what I mean? Like he's mid pack. Don't get me wrong, but that's with everybody in the country, and I still think that's solid. So I bumped him up a little bit to a B minus. Sure, better season, but I'm with you. I think he's I don't know if he's overperforming, but basically what we expect out of the 26 car. Jay-Z?
This is one of the few instances where I wish I could separate the car and the driver because Justin Peck to me is a B plus driver, and this car is not helping him. They struggle with the Ford motor. Did they have parts? Did they not? They switched back to the Chevy for a minute. They had old heads on it that it didn't run good. They were low on horsepower. Like same thing, kind of the TSR car went through, was switching back and forth, and they weigh different, and it changes the balance of the car, and this and that, and the other thing, and I it just sucks because Justin, I think, is better than these results again. And I feel like we've been saying that for 3 years now. Now, I'm not saying that the car was a problem in 13, whatever the case may be. There was so much bad luck and the Bridgeport crash and all these goofy things that happened that took wins away from him. Justin Peck is a B plus better driver or better to me driver. I hope it all comes together next year, whatever it needs, and they can have everything that he needs. Because if it car is under him, I think he can go compete with anybody in the country.
Yeah, I agree. Next driver. We're going to move to 5th in points in the driver points and high limit. Tanner Thorson, 69 starts, 3 wins, 14 top 5s, 35 top 10s. One wins at Path Valley, Lernerville, and Creek County with a Power Eye series. So 2 high limit wins and 1 with Power Eye. He also finished second at the Ironman 55, a top 10 and a top 5 and 5 top 10s with the World of Outlaws. Almost a 50% top 10 rate. Myself and Jeremy with the B minus, Chris and 25. This changed. 25% of the audience now went with B. 23% of the audience went with B plus, and Chris also went with the B plus. I
Sounds
think
like
this,
we're all in that same range. What? Go
yeah,
ahead, Jimmy. What do you think about Tanner's year?
I think it was a nice step up for him. Second full time year on the tour. With that's not like an established team. Like that's they're establishing themselves still. It's their second year, and um, I think he had a pretty good year. Found a lot more consistency. Found victory lane twice here in PA. And was one of the better high limit drivers. Were you going into any night and be like, this is Tanner Thorson's going to be a threat to win? No. I think that's where the next step needs to come up. But I think in terms of, it was a nice progressive year for him. And just solid season.
Yeah, I think it's this is standing on its own. Its expectations versus reality, and I think that he jumped over the bar with both feet and arms and legs and hands and whatever. There was a stretch there where he was in every single race. Like you're like, holy shit! There's the 88. They timed well. They passed cars. They're up front. It wasn't that all season, I think, but they're doing such a different program than anybody else in the country for the most part. And Tanner, was very public about like, listen, this was not 18 3 years ago. This car didn't even have a number or it didn't exist 3 years ago. They created it last year. This is year 2, not only with this combo, but a team at all. Full-time year 2, way different chassis, suspension setup on this thing. Stevie Smith helping in the background. They made tons of progress on it. And I think there were absolutely tracks and surfaces and places that this car goes well. What impressed me was a couple nights at Port Royal, he was up near the front there running around, and I'm like, okay, all right, this ain't a short track. This ain't, this thing digging, slick, slow, whatever. And he was doing okay. They definitely were making ground up on this program in this car. And I'm excited for what they have in the future. It was fun watching Windpath Valley that night. Like, that was technical. It was unique. It was a short track. It fits his style a little bit. Former midget racer, right? Like that was super cool to see and super fun. And I'm a Tanner Thorson fan, and I'm excited for what the future holds for him. Hopefully, this stays together and they can make something really work with this deal. Ryan,
Yeah, I split you guys. I gave him a B. Um, I think he is. If you want to look up inconsistent in the dictionary, it's them. But it's also a learning process that they're, like you said, they're not on the same shit as everybody else in the pit. So it's some nights this is going to work, and then he goes back to Stevie, and Stevie wants to try something different, and they come back out. It doesn't work. So I don't think it's inconsistent by skill or by being a problem. I think it's inconsistent, and they're learning as they go. Um, I think, yeah, like you said, there was a stretch there where that car was just in the dash every night, and one night it would drive forward in the feature, and the next night it would go backwards, and it was just a learning process every single night. They're just out there building a sheet, and even before, like you said, this team didn't exist 2 years ago. Even before the team came to fruition, Tanner wasn't a full time sprint car driver like he had in the past, but he was never a full time driver. They start up this team, they go on the road, and it's been somewhat impressive. They struggle some nights, but I think it's been somewhat impressive to watch them go up and down the road, and they compete with the best of the best. And we kind of all knew once they clicked one win off that it would come around again and again, and end up getting 3 by the end of the year. So, yeah, I mean, I gave him a B. I think expectation versus reality. If you put this stat line on Brad Sweet, it's a D or an F.
Mhm.
But their expectation is to go out and learn something and figure out and build for the future. And in the process, they're winning races. So I think it was a pretty good year for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Where'd they end up in the
It looks
midweek
like
series? Because I think going into the final race, they were like leading the points, right? Or
Yeah, I don't
the second to last race.
think he was like
I think he
second
might
or
have ended
third in
up
that.
fifth, but still being at the top with those guys is hard.
yeah, no doubt. We lost Chris. I don't know. Maybe he got a henchman from the 1S team showed up at his house. I'm not sure, but we've lost him for the evening. We'll check on his. We'll check on his well being another time. Everybody. No, he's not. He's been under the weather, so he
Yeah.
called it a night. We're getting close to. We're coming up on 3 hours. Let's keep going.
Yep. Last full-time driver that's not a rookie, Aaron Reitzel. Still with 60 starts, 10 wins, 31 top fives, 44 top tens, ends up sixth in high limit driver points, even with missing races. One at Port Royal twice, one of them being the Weikert Memorial, and then one at Eldora twice. He also has 3 Power Eye wins, 3 top fives, and 5 top tens with the World of Outlaws. A 73% top 10 percentage and a 52% top 5 percentage. That puts him right up there with Rico and Brad. What could have been if he doesn't get injured and was able to race those couple of races that he missed. I gave him an A, along with 25%, or sorry, 30% of the audience went with an A. Chris went with an A minus. Jeremy went with the B plus.
I had
I
an
B+.
A minus.
Go ahead.
Go. All right. I had an A minus. To not be on the tour for is a few years since he was in the Roth car. To not be on the tour, go back home, reset, and you're still racing 410s competitively. You're running Knoxville, and I think he's run some Houston's and Jackson stuff. But it's not the traveling guys. It's not their skill level. So to go from that to back on the road and look like you never missed a beat. Yeah, they had a great year competing for a title. It's like it was honestly probably one of the more impressive storylines of the season that I really don't think got talked about enough. They were good.
And go back and get redemption at Eldora too. That was pretty
Yep.
cool. Granted, what happened between him and Cody at BAPS and stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, he's not the
He's
most
public
well-liked
enemy number
person.
one all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, still impressive as hell season.
Yep.
Jeremy, got anything to add?
No, I don't like him, so he got to be. Go ahead.
All right, we're gonna go
That's it.
into the rookie section. Not all these drivers are rookies. A lot of them are rookies, like with their series or running full time. The first one isn't really a rookie, but I don't really know what other. He's a young guy, and we gotta talk about him. Ryan Timms, 68 starts, 15 wins, 26 top fives, 38 top tens. He's your Knoxville National and your Tuscarora 50 champion. 6 wins at Knoxville, 6 wins at Houston, 2 at Jackson, and a win at Port Royal. Everybody went with an A plus, including the 65% of the audience. I went with just an A. Probably should be an A plus just because of the 2 major wins, but I felt like there were times where like he wasn't even like against some national competition. He was a little inconsistent at times early in the season. I think once Knoxville came, then they really started ripping off and did pretty good. I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. I'm assuming they're doing this more the same next year. Only thing I would want to see from him is maybe a little bit more consistency when it comes to run against the Outlaws on high limit. But I mean, he was great all year. Fantastic season.
You're out of your fucking mind. I don't give a shit on the consistency. He's not on a tour. He's out there to win races. And this fucking guy won 15 races. He's like 9 years old. He won the Knoxville Nationals. He won the Tuscarora 50. He may never lose at Houston's again in his life. This is an A plus, Jimmy. Come on, bro. What is it with you and these young guys you don't like? What is it? It's just you can't like them unless they're
Homer.
40 or over. What's the fucking deal here, my guy?
Those
Got Buddy Kofoid and Ryan Timms, not A pluses.
Yeah,
Guy won almost $1 million. He's not an A plus. This kid wins he wins the Knoxville Nationals. Comes
it's
into
an
Port
A
Royal,
season. It's still a good season. Like
Port Royal, he's seen for an hour and a half, and he fucking wins the Tuscarora 50, and you give the guy an A.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
an A. What's wrong
you're
with
a hater,
an A?
bro.
What's wrong with an
Typical
A?
Eagles fan.
Do I think he had as
Haters.
good of a season as David Gravel, Rico Abreu,
But he's not on a
Anthony
tour.
Macri?
It doesn't matter.
Does it matter? Neither was Anthony
No.
Macri.
Look at that total. Look at those wins. He's like 12 years old, and he
Yeah.
won those 2 races. Guys wish they could
Here's
make that
here's
race.
here's where I split the difference between him and Anthony Macri. 6 wins at Houston doesn't impress me against weekly competition there.
Who
Macri's wins
cares?
here impresses me a little bit more.
No, they're local wins.
Yeah, they're local wins.
Someone's got to win them. Why can't he?
Right.
Well, and if he didn't start on the front row, it's impressive that he could actually pass a car at USIT. So you got to give him that, Jimmy.
That's
Jackson
why he has an
blows
A.
good-
He has an A. It's not like it's a bad season.
No, I
It's a
mean the
good
other
season.
thing.
No, I'm just listen. I'm fucking with you, dude. It's a great season. This kid is a phenom.
Yeah.
I hope he stays in a fucking sprint car forever. That we get to see him race for a long time. What a great season. I can't believe it happened. I'm still in disbelief that this happened this year, the way it did with him. Can't wait to see what the future holds.
Yeah, the only thing you could maybe hold against him is like, I know at Port the first 2 nights he was like a mid-pack car. Whatever they figured out the third night, I have no idea, but it's an A+ for me. I mean, they're a little inconsistent, but if you win the Knoxville Nationals, I mean, even if he didn't win the Tusky this year, he's Knoxville Nationals champion at 20 years old. It's an A+ for me.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's
great
crazy.
season.
Guys go their whole career and hope to make the A couple times. Make it. Just make the A. This kid wins the A at 20 years old. It's unbelievable. And we started that night. Remember, we were like, oh, he's on the pole, right? Oh, hopefully he runs out front a little bit, blah, blah, blah. He flat out dominated that race from the green flag to the stop to the freaking next green flag to the checker flag. There was never a threat for him to lose the lead of that race. And guys are wishing they would just make that race. It's crazy.
Was it green, white, checkered, I think, or maybe a 3-lap shootout, and he won by like over 3 seconds still. Like it was
like
that was an unreal run.
And put that in perspective. Oh, okay. He runs Knoxville all the time. He's a regular. There's Knoxville regulars every year that run that race. Right? And they don't do that. That shit doesn't happen.
Brian Brown.
There's like I wasn't going to bring it up, but home field advantage. And we don't see that, man. It was just unprecedented, impressive, crazy. There's so many different adjectives for it that it's hard to put in words. And I still actually don't believe it happened, because go back in time and tell me a year where a kid with this level of lack of experience has done these things. It just doesn't happen. He's an alien, and it makes no sense to me if he never does this again in his career, the rest of his career. It's one of the greatest seasons that anyone's ever had put together. I don't care about 38 out of 68 top 10s. These wins are like why you wake like you as a sprint car driver and you're like, what race would I want to win someday? Knoxville. Holy shit, you did it at 20, my guy. Congratulations. What a year.
Yeah.
Super
great
cool.
season. All right, we're gonna
Would
go.
you say it's an A+ season, Jimmy?
No, I would not.
Oh. All right, go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one.
Jimmy stands on business.
Yeah, if
Jimmy stands on business. I appreciate that.
Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like early in the season. So I just
Jimmy's never lost
overall,
an argument.
I'm just explaining my reasoning because
no, I get it. I understand. I mean, 38 top 10s for being a Knoxville Nationals champion, only finishing 38 top 10s and 68 starts is pretty low when most of your starts are weekly. You know, I'm not holding it against him, but I can see why you would.
Yeah, just like I said, just the early season inconsistency. I think if he starts next season off the way he's finished this year, the last half, he's looking at 20, 25 wins probably. Like
if he had one top 10 all year and it was the Knoxville Nationals, it's an A+ for me.
Yeah.
15 wins, guys.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit about the top 10s? 15 wins, and 2 of them are fucking Knoxville and Tuscarora 50.
12 of them are at Knoxville.
15 wins.
Yeah. 12 of his 15 wins are at 2 tracks.
Hell of a year.
Whew. Awesome.
All right. Another one, Logan Rumsey. Kind of crazy because he actually had 40 starts in a 410. 2 top 5s, 13 top 10s. Jeremy put it incomplete. I went with the B+. Same with 23% of the audience. Chris went with a B. I think, we talked a lot about him. We kind of put him maybe almost on the same level as what we were talking about Cam Smith before. Just a young phenom that is, finally got into 410s this year more consistently and made a dash at Path Valley, really turned some heads, made the National Open, all in his first season and first full season in a 410, and full with an asterisk with only 40 starts, but still a good amount of starts. Ryan, Jay-Z, what do you think about his season?
Jay-Z, you can go first. You got your incomplete up there. I want to hear what you have to say.
So this one was hard for me, and I put incomplete because I don't think it's fair to give him a grade based on the stats you see on the screen. And you guys clearly did that too. I could have done this and been perfectly content being proud of my BEB plus number name grade that y'all gave, which is clearly what everybody agreed on. But I wrote incomplete because the numbers don't speak for it. And if we're talking about numbers on most of this stuff, I would be a hypocrite for giving him a B or B plus based on those numbers. So I wrote incomplete and took the easy way out here. And what I went and did, and I wanted to break this down between Lincoln and Williams Grove, but I just did this as a I don't know, just to see for myself if I thought about it. And I wrote down every feature he ran, if he went plus or minus in features from the beginning of his year to the end, and I wrote a lot of these down. And as I looked through the first half of the races, let's say the first 15 races, he had a +6 one day, he had a +5. That gets me through about 20 of those races. Then I see +6, +3, +7, +6, +15, +5, +1, +3, +3, +4, +5, +9, +7. About the second half of the season, started not that he didn't pass cars, but his where he started, he almost always finished ahead of it. There were some minuses in there, there's some zeros in there, there was some mechanical stuff, there was a crash, but I wanted to break out Lincoln aside from Williams Grove because Williams Grove he just started running this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and only ran it and didn't even start running Williams Grove till I don't know third way through the year. But at Lincoln Speedway, very few nights got to start up front. Got to figure out the time trials. Got to pass some heat. Got to pass some cars. But when it came to feature time, this kid moved forward every freaking night and was like, "Holy shit, where did he come from?" That one night he was up front, crashed, or something happened, went to the back and back through the field again. For a young guy to go be passing cars in features at Lincoln Speedway tells me that he gets it. That's the hardest thing I've seen over the years of all my years going to Lincoln Speedway is I've seen plenty of guys go out there in a time trial, but they can't pass race cars.
Mm-hmm.
Or they have to it takes 6, 7, 8 years to learn how to pass race cars. He's passing race cars in basically his first full-time season in 410s and passing some really good damn cars throughout the night in features. He gets it all put together. And when I tell you from a budget perspective, what they're running on and what his dad made a joke at one point and said, these teams are going to stop selling us tires because we're beating them on their used tires. And he's talking about big teams, not local big teams, big teams, like going and passing them during these features sometimes when the Outlaws were in town. And like the chassis and the motors they're running on are not anything relatively even remotely new. And he's going and figuring out how to pass cars. I wrote incomplete because I don't know where this goes. But I also will say I'll call out Jeremy Elliott because he's a big homer for the young talent on the West Coast. We have our own right here, and it's being overlooked.
I agree.
Yeah, the win column isn't there yet, but he's barely had any experience in these cars. He's going to win races. He's going to win a lot of races. Him, Cam Smith, Aiden Hare, Jaden Wolf, if they get these opportunities, we have that same young talent in Pennsylvania that just doesn't get that same exposure because 358s are like this weird alien stepchild thing. 360s in California get love. 410 young guys get love in California. I think Jeremy Elliott's missing the actual real good talent here that we see week in and week out. And he is at the top one of the him and Cam Smith. Cam Smith has 2 years on him.
Yeah.
We just talked how good what we think Cam Smith is going to be. I've watched this kid run at Lincoln Speedway, and he has the shades of Freddie Raymer and how he gets around at racetrack. It's not up on the wall ripping like a Brian Monteith or a Matt Campbell. It's not rolling the bottom like an old man Fred. It's doing whatever you got to do to pass the car in front of you kind of thing. he gets it. I can see it. You can like watching sprint cars all the years I have at that place. He just understands it and gets it and can make the car do things. When he figures out the time trial part, and I've watched him time trial, he'll go out late in time trials and acts like and runs the damn thing like he's the first car out on a heavy racetrack. Like he ain't scared of the race car and he knows how to move and manipulate the race car. Puts it all together. This kid's going to win a lot of races in Central PA.
Yep.
That is my rant. And that's what I've been thinking about all year. We've talked about it at times, but I can see it. You know what I mean? You can just pick it out on the racetrack at times. These guys that just get it, he gets it. I don't know how to explain it better than he just gets it. Go ahead.
So earlier I said if I had infinite money and I was starting a race team tomorrow, looking for a young guy from around here, Cam's number one. Logan is a very close second. Logan is, I mean, like you said, they don't have. If the 75 is underfunded, the 41's broke. if we're comparing them, because they don't have that. You know, they're not running new tires every night, or most nights they're not running new tires. And what he does with the equipment they have is very, very impressive. I gave a B, not off of stats or anything. That's just off watching that car hit the track every single night. Um, you know, most nights at the Grove this year, he was tagging the rear just to start back there and get laps, and then boom, he's plus 10. And it's like you're passing these guys, these certain operations that I'm not going to name. You're passing them, in, you know, for 16th, and like, there's no reason that car should be passing other said car at any point in any race ever, and yet Logan's doing it because it's not about the amount of money you have; it's about what you can do with it and your talent. And Logan has the talent to know where to put the car, to study the guy in front of you for 2, 3, 4 laps, and know where to make a pass, know where that guy's messing up. And Logan's smart. Like I watched him. I think it was I want to say it was the final 50 or one of the last races at Lincoln, and he ran like I don't know, sixth, seventh, eighth, something like that. But he was just as competitive as the guys in front, with the Troys and the Dannies and the Cam and Chase, and like he was hanging right there with those guys. Now passing them is a different story, but just hanging with them. There's 17 other cars in that field that can't do that and have been trying all year. 40 starts for Logan seems like a lot. I do not remember 40 starts, but I believe it. But man, he's been good right out the gate. And like I said before, I hope these guys stay around here. And I hope when, you know, if when Danny gets out of the 48, whenever it's going to be, it might be 5, 10, 20 years, I don't know. Troy in the 27, anybody else in these higher funded rides, I hope that they stick around. And I hope Logan, Cam, Aiden Hare, Jaden Wolf, I hope those guys get rides, because my God, this place would be set. It'd be like the old days. The Outlaws come in and it's not, hey, we got Macri or nobody. We got a fucking chance with these guys showing up. Give them a few years.
Yep. Yeah. B plus just on the eye test, like just jumps out at you at the track, especially like you said with what they're working with, you know, and to make both Natio events first attempt, the Path Valley thing. I think he got a podium at Clinton County. Like just ran well all year, and just continue to pass cars and just really jumps out on the page at you. And you know, maybe not the stats here, but next year he's a guy to watch that, you know, could get a win or two for sure. Great
The
season.
night the finale of the Natty Open, when he won that heat race and went like 12th to 5th to qualify, and there was some shenanigans and crazy shit. I happened to be in 3 and 4, and I walked around and I was like, holy shit, Logan Rumsey just transferred into the National Open on his first attempt, and his like 8th race at Williams Grove in his 410 career. Holy shit. I ran over and like they have like 3 people in the whole trailer. Like there's like 3 people. Logan, his dad, and one other person. And they couldn't have been happier. Now, man, I was high-fiving, fist bumps, and you know, just giving those guys hugs and their love, man. That was so cool to see. And they were so excited. And Logan, I kind of made a joke on here that week after, and I said, Logan told his dad to get him a new right rear. He hasn't had one like all season. Like, can I have a new tire for the feature, please? Like, that's the kind of operation. Like, okay, I bought him a new tire for the A main. It was super cool, man. I'm excited for the future, and hopefully it all continues to work in their favor, that he gets on the racetrack more and more.
Sure. All right, we're gonna go to the high limit rookies. We're gonna do these all kind of in one kind of quick rapid fire here. Dason Pursley, 75 starts, got 1 win, 7 top fives, 23 top tens, 7th in high limit driver points. I gave a B. Jay-Z gave a B minus. Chris went with an A minus, and the audience split between a B and a B plus, about 20% each. I went with a B. I was going to go a little bit higher, but I didn't want to weigh the USAC sweep at the Four Crown too much into this because I think we're trying to just grade him here on his rookie season with high limit, and I I thought he was going to win maybe a couple more races, but I was probably just lofty expectations. Still, to get a win is great. Really came on the last half of the season. Found a lot more consistency the last half of the year, and now going over to Casey Caden Racing, where I think the sky is the absolute limit for this kid.
Yep, I had a B minus. He tore a lot of shit up at the start of the year. Like the first few weeks, and it wasn't even like he was up front doing it. He was in the back, bad luck, or just doing dumb shit that just inexperienced drivers do. And he's young, but I think he's gonna be really good. By the end of the year, they figured out how to time trial and started running up front in races. And yeah, I think if that carries over, he's gonna be fine. I was a B minus.
B minus for me, simply because it was hard for me to not buy on the do the recency hype train bias, like signed good end of the season, tons of quick times, tons of dashes. I don't think the results were there yet, but I think we're all fans and we all see what the future could look like. And all of us have to, if you're a Dason Pursley fan, all you can hope is that whatever car he drives next year, 9 or 49 or sponsorship or whatever, that the team around him is a team that meshes well, because he's a young guy. I could see a Buddy Kofoid type of projection and trajectory for this guy. I think we all see it. Obviously, Casey Kane and Brad Sweet do as well. But a B minus for the season because it's 1 win, 23 top tens, and 75 starts. Probably a B minus is too high if I just looked at a stat line, didn't put a name beside it. I think we're all hyping up because of who it is and the situation. So even a B minus, in my opinion, is probably like the hype and the recency bias about what we know or what we project him to be. If you blank out the name and you give me just this top stat line and say, what's the grade? I don't think it's B minus worthy.
No.
I don't think it's A minus worthy, but I think we all graded this on what we can see.
I
right,
think we're
coming.
also
So
kind
I
of
think it's
grading a
fair.
little bit on a curve since these are rookies, their first full-time people.
And
You know
that,
what I mean?
absolutely.
All these guys are kind of, and it's why I kind of kept them in a separate group, is because you're kind of grading them a little bit on a curve. Like, how was their rookie season? Like, not necessarily the stats are nice, but just kind of, almost, do they belong out to or not? Kind of eye test here. Cy Lynch. He finished 9th in high limit driver points, 64 starts, no wins, 3 top fives, 11 top tens. Great time trialer. The audience split between a C plus, a B, and a B plus. Actually, I went with a D. Jay-Z went with the C. Chris went with the C plus as well. I expected a little bit more out of Cy Lynch. I don't know why. Just because I think because he can time trial so well. But man, it was a rough going for him. Hope he comes back out on tour next year. But he just was never really a threat to win. He had some good nights, but nothing really that was that memorable.
All right.
Just C minus. I don't know. Like you said, he just wasn't really relevant. I think maybe Lucas Oil, he was competitive. I think if I remember correctly, him and Thorson. I could be completely wrong. Yeah, I don't know. Even like when they went back home to Lernerville, I don't really remember.
He
Him
got
having.
taken out by Reitzel that one night.
Yeah.
That one they went after each other, but I mean, really, he wasn't a factor. He was
Drove
better there.
He went from the B main to like 5th, I want to say
Yeah.
that night. Like he was not a factor because it was the end of the race. He got to 5th, but like he was going to be a factor that night. It just didn't work out to get start up close to the front.
Right.
But even before he went on the tour, and it was just local racing, when the Outlaws or High Limit came to Lernerville, he was the same. It was always time trial well, heat race well, but then the feature just kind of struggled. But Yeah, I mean, it was. I think Cy Lynch, Danny Sams are kind of in the same boat where completing the whole year is a feat of itself, making it through the season on the tour,
Mhm.
and they should be very proud of that. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be pleased with the results.
I agree. Any other thoughts on
Um,
Cy?
no, I'm a little higher. Well, actually, Chris is a little higher, and the audience is a little higher. I'm a little higher on side than I think you guys are. I think there were a lot of flashes here at the end of the season in a very positive direction. More consistently saying like, yeah, wouldn't every spot here and there, quick time or up near the front. I saw a lot of promise. I saw a lot of uh, positive momentum going into the year. So I think this really last third of the year, I like he went quick time both nights for Charlotte, right?
Mhm.
Thursday, Friday, I want to say.
Yep.
Set quick time both nights. And yeah, the time trialing is there. I also think he's a young guy. He's not super experienced. He's not 10 years in a 410 kind of deal. And on a level at high limit. So I think I'm probably grading a little higher based on what I think I see momentum into next year. Sort of like Tyler Ross for me in a way. Like I saw some really positive things with both the time trial and the racing. We'll see what next year brings and we'll go from there. But looking at this, it's kind of wild. He finished behind Brenham,
Yeah.
very similar statistics. And I think Brenham, as you'll see my grade and all of our grades, right? If
Yeah.
we compare them head to head, looks similar, but I think it's very different trajectories. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my D was harsh. I didn't give anybody an F because as long as they completed the season, I think that is a good start. I don't know why I expected more from Cy, but maybe my D's a little bit harsh. That's probably one I would change. Brenham Crouch. This one wasn't on the thing. So Bill Balog and Brenham Crouch were the two guys that I missed that were full time guys on the form. Brenham 8th in high limit points, 68 starts, no wins, 4 top fives, 15 top tens. I went with the C minus. Jay Z and Chris went with the D. Ryan, what about Brenham Crouch for you?
Honestly, I think he was better this year than he was last year in the family stuff. There was some nights where he looked like he had a decent bit of speed. I never thought that they were going to be competitive for wins.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he was better than I expected. So I would say probably the C minus area, C to C minus. Like I don't know, he's never going to knock your socks off, but I don't think he was horrible.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's horrible.
Danny Sam, 70 starts, 1 win at Bridgeport. That being his only top 5 as well. 6 top 10s, finished 11th in series points. Myself and the audience went with a C plus. Jay Z went with the C, and Chris went with a B. C plus just because of the win. Granted, however he got it, rain shortened, whatever, put himself in that spot. They were just a family team out on the road. Made it to the end, end up getting rewarded with a win there. Yeah, so that's why I gave him a plus. But yeah, I just good first season out on the road for a team that I didn't expect to go out on the road to begin with.
I had a C minus, but I think I was kind of rushing through the end ones there because the show was about to start. Probably a little too harsh. The fact they made it through the whole year is impressive with the equipment problems they had and stuff. They should get an A plus just for that. Um, I don't I don't think anyone was really expecting them to make it through the season because it's
Right.
hard out there. But hell, he made it through the season and still running world finals and some other local stuff out. I think he ran Atomic last weekend, so they made do with what they had, and hopefully they come back out next year.
Yeah, I'm a C because I think there's potential there. I think Danny Sams could drive a race car. C, they made it through the year. There were flashes of that. I think that like as a raw talent driver, I think he's up there. I think with the guys, and I think the support, and hopefully there's been enough clamoring and talk about Danny that he gets some support, some funding that they can be prepped to go out and continue to do what they do. And Crew help, crew chief setups, whatever the case may be. I think that there's a lot of potential there. I think everyone saw that last year with that Ohio Speed Week run that he had and kind of put himself on the map, and hope they're back out next year. But if they're not, listen, he is absolutely good enough, competitive enough to go win an All-Stars championship
Oh yeah, yeah,
without
for
all
sure.
those miles, right? And maybe that's what they need to do for a year and build the program up, get the funding, whatever the case would be. We don't know. I don't know what they're going to have in the offseason from funding and sponsors and all that. But like, I would love to see him back on high limit, continue to get that experience. But he would also do well winning a lot of races, right? Or otherwise. So, um, I'm a fan. I'm excited to see what the future holds for them
I think last year he went out and ran Ohio Speed Week and won like 2 or 3 other shows.
in a
Now,
row.
granted, it
Or
wasn't the
something.
All Stars, but it's not like the competition got that much better this year. It was mostly the same guys with
Mhm.
maybe Devin Borden and Cale Thomas, but it's pretty much the same group. So I think in the right situation and a little more funding or somebody else's ride, I think he'd be pretty good.
And final guy for high limit, Chase Randall. 70 starts. He got a win. It was a Houston Speedway weekly win, not a high limit win. 7 top fives and 14 top tens. Ended up 10th in points. I went with the C plus, Jay-Z with a D, Chris with a B minus, and the audience with a C. I went. I think Chase Randall has some talent. We'll see what happens here in the future. Um, Obviously, I think they're going to end up going back out on the road next year. We'll see what happens, but I think they have. I don't think the funding is a problem. I think Chase has out of these. I think Dason personally is kind of like obviously separated himself compared to these other 4 drivers, but I think Chase Randall's at the top of these 4 drivers in terms of talent and future. I think, in my opinion, but I think Chase Randall can be pretty good.
Yeah, I think the same thing, and that's why I gave him a C minus. Is I expected him to be above Danny, Brenham, and Cy, and he's above Danny, but I just expected a little bit better. And I think I heard Rodman say, or somebody said it. I guess they were struggling with crew help or a crew chief, and then there's when Axum left for the 18. I think the crew chief from the 27 went over to the 9, or something along those lines. But he definitely showed more speed at the end of the year. He had a really good World Finals too. Wish I would have taken him in my pool. I might have made a little more money. But yeah, I mean, I thought he would have a better season. I wasn't expecting a bunch of wins or anything, but I thought he would be I thought it would be more competitive.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
We're going to go to the high limit rookies, and we're going to go through these ones quick as well. Garrett Williamson was your rookie of the year. 8 top 5s, 30 top 10s. I went with the C plus, Jay-Z with the B minus, Chris a C, and the audience a C plus. Solid season for Garrett Williamson. What rookie of the year? Probably exceeded my expectations of what he was going to do. But I think he's definitely a guy that's going to stick around and be out on tour. He's going to be a national tour guy for a while, and I think that can knock off a couple wins every season, eventually in the future.
Yep, I was with Jay-Z. I had a B minus.
Yeah, I'm gonna go B minus here because I thought going into the year Cole Macedo was gonna run away with the rookie of the year. We talked about it on
Yep.
here. Odds on favorite. Really didn't. Honestly, I was just that's no. That was an easy one for me. I really, really did, and Garrett Williams surpassed my expectations pretty much all season long for a rookie, for a guy with not a lot of experience traveling. I just, I mean,
In a newer team too.
Yeah.
I think that
yeah,
team's
like
only existed for like 2 years.
great freaking job, good looking race car. He seems to understand it. He seems to get it. Seems to be a quick learner at all these different tracks. Um, B minus might be a little aggressive high, but just it was expectations versus reality for me on this one.
Chris Windham, the next driver, 73 starts, no wins, 4 top 5s, 25 top 10s, finished 9th in Outlaw points. I went with the C. Jeremy went with the D plus. Chris with a B minus, and the audience went with the C. I thought there was a lot of times where Chris Wyndham surprised me at times, where he was running up in the top 5 or top 10 and looked really fast at times where I didn't expect it. I think they're starting to come along, and hopefully he can continue to build on this next year. I think it was a solid season. 25 top 10s isn't awful. And yeah, just we'll see what happens with him in the future. Solid season.
Yep. I had a C plus. Relative to previous years, the dude sucked up until this year. So um, he was definitely more competitive most nights. Not every night, but he was competitive a lot more this year than previous years. So I don't know if the stats really show that, but yeah, I gave him a C plus.
I heard USAC needs drivers. They're coming to Wings. So maybe he can go back over. He'll be good over there or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Jesus. Cole Macedo, the only guy on this list that actually got a win. It was a high limit win, not an outlaw win at Fremont, where he wrecked after the turn. 7 top 5s, 24 top 10s. C plus for me, Chris. Jay-Z with a C minus, and the audience gave him an A. I don't think it was that good of a season, but I do think there was a lot of times, especially early in the season, where he outperformed the equipment. I'm just assuming. I mean, that car's sponsorless all season out on the Outlaw Tour, which is crazy. But I was with Jay-Z. I thought he was gonna run away with the Rookie of the Year, and he kind of just was very inconsistent, especially the second half of the year. But he did get a win. Looked good at times. Was early in the season he was up front fighting with his brother and Buddy and even Gravel at times, and then there's times where he was on non-existent. So kind of what you expect from a rookie. Solid season.
I probably would have given him a C, but his last name is Macedo, so he gets a minus. So go ahead, Ryan.
I gave him a C. What the hell's the audience doing? Give him an A. What the?
Yeah.
Did you all get him confused with Carson?
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, 17% an A, but then 15% a C. So the audience was somewhere in between there. It's a little split, but the A's did win. Hunter Schurenberg.
F.
Yeah, 2 top 5s, 19 top 10s. I gave a C. Jay-Z went with a D. Chris a C. Audience a C. I was close to a D as well. But I mean, he showed up at times. I don't know. Finished 11th in points.
I like Hunter. I'd love to root for him, but I just get tired of waiting for it to happen. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, he has probably 5 times the experience of really anybody on this list at a national level, at whatever you consider the all-stars in their last few years. Yeah, it's at some point you'd think he'd figure it out, and it just never came around. He's in there's the same equipment that he's in, Kerry Madsen was in, and granted Madsen tore the shit up a lot, but when he wasn't tearing the shit up, he was running up front in high limit races, and Schoenberg's in the B main every night. It just, I don't know.
Yeah. Zach Hampton's next. 1 top 5, 6 top 10s. I gave a C minus. Jeremy with a D. Chris with a C. Audience with a C plus. I think he was a little bit faster at times than the stats show. He really turned heads at times, but then he also, would
leave early, just quit and walk away.
Yeah. So yeah, talk shit about fireworks and stuff like that. Early in the season, he was impressive, and then he kind of came back down to expectations, and then I think he went below expectations the second half of the year.
D for done. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I have C minus. Honestly, the only reason he didn't get a D from me is because he didn't destroy as much shit as I was expecting. So.
Skylar G next, 13th in outlaw points, 3 top 10s, 12 top 5s. I went with the C minus. Jeremy went with an F. Chris with a D, and the audience with the C minus as well. C minus just because he finished the season, to be honest. Had a couple decent nights.
That's why
always
the
good
D
at
over
Lincoln.
the F for me.
He always seems to be good at Lincoln.
An all-star.
What did you give, Ryan? What was yours, Ryan?
D, just for finishing the year, because they're not a high funded team. I didn't see them making it through July, so
Yeah.
Got it.
Connor Morrell, final one, 14th in Outlaw points, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. I went with a D, Jay-Z with an F, Chris with a D, and the audience
Wait.
with a C.
Why was mine an F? What did that stand for?
Forgot he was there.
I forgot he was on the tour.
I remember
he showed up at he showed up at Williams Grove in July, and I'm like, this guy's a fucking outlaw. Has he been here all year?
Well,
I forgot. I had no idea he was.
He was
full-time.
technically the
And then
second
he made the
bill.
dash.
Yeah.
That
He
night.
did.
Yeah. Then made a dash that night, of course.
Second Bill Rose car. I remember it was kind of a big deal because that was announced really late that he came out on tour, and he did finish the season on the tour, and at least that. So I can't fail him there, but not really. Besides that night that he made the dash at Williams Grove, I don't remember anything else he did all year.
Agreed. The one track in Canada or New York that he led in the gravel pass with like 3 to go. That was about it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the only memory I have. Yeah, that team is severely underfunded, and I don't even know if Bill Rose owns the car. I think it was just more of like sponsor mentorship type thing.
Yeah,
but
kind of like
the fact they made it through the year is more impressive than any high limit or outlaw driver making it through the year. It's more impressive than Danny Sams, and I unfortunately I think they grenaded one last night in the feature. So
yeah, and
we'll see what next year holds.
Didn't he start one of the tours last year and fall off by like May or June, or was that the year before?
He might have.
It was either last year or the year before that he kind of fell off, and he ran locally or ran some other shit, kind of close to home. But I thought he did the same thing this year, or he jumped in like May, and I'm like, oh shit, cool, look, he's here. I had
something
no
about
idea.
school or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
My brain's wanted to say the All Stars, that he started the All Stars and then
dropped
quit,
off.
or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was because there was like a Sealands Grove show he showed up to, and that was like his last one that year or something, like early in the year.
He had to cut out for. I don't remember.
Yeah, they ran out of towels in a tub of towels or something. I don't know.
Wild that they had 7 rookies for the Outlaws. See what happens next year, and that will do it for all of our grades. We did have some write-ins that we're going to get to. Santos gave Devin Borden a B-. Dave Scott Smeltzer, Ashton Torgerson, an A-. He's a guy to watch. He was very impressive. Got a win immediately in that car. We know about how that all went down. Now they're going out on the Outlaw Tour next year. Definitely exceeded expectations. I think a lot of people had for him. Great season for Torgerson. Hopefully they find some consistency out on the road. It'll be interesting to see them go out on the road full time. To Tim Bayshore, Kyle Moody, a B-. Kyle had a decent season. He's really good at BAPS, and Lincoln.
He had flashes. I think he went to that time trial only kind of deal, and I think it worked for their team for the most part. There were definitely moments, like you said, there were moments of speed, and there were moments of whoops, shit. So we'll see.
Cameron Merriman biased vote, an A from Curtis Merriman. So we could see what.
Shout out to Merriman boys.
Think they're related,
guys.
Maybe they're related.
I don't
know. Brett Perigo P+ from FDS. Shout out Brett. Shout out Smeal. Cody Hartlob, a B from Emily Winslow. Cody did get his first win. But I think I don't know. I almost want to say like a sophomore slump kind of at times, but he was still pretty solid.
There were moments. I think there were moments that they were hitting on something, especially at Williams Grove. I think that there was some big improvements there throughout the year at times, and almost won Danny an owners championship, right? Like definitely got a win that night. So no, I like Cody a lot, and I think he's progressing and trying to getting this thing figured out. And they went to basically a time trial only deal this year as well,
right?
Picking and choosing a little bit, not dealing with the handicap or running for points. So cut their season a little bit early. I guess they had a pretty big wreck at where did they have a wreck?
Sealands Grove.
At Sealands Grove that night, right? So cut it short a little bit there and get ready for 2026.
Yeah. Another anonymous member also gave Cody Hartlob an A-. So I probably lean more towards a B, maybe a B+. Solid season for Cody.
I think 2024 when he was in his own stuff before the Tron car, it was like they could time trial like a son of a bitch, but then racing was always a struggle. And it seemed like this year it was even time trialing was a struggle a lot. So maybe they go back to what worked the year before or find something that was missing and get back to it. But he could always time trial. It's just the racing. If it's a car setup thing, I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
we'll
and they
figure
did
it out.
something a little different in the 410 from a suspension standpoint. They had a really good deal to 358s going when it slicked off and got slow. They were really good, and I think time trialing early was in the 410s was good, but then it was like okay, that race pace or the setup, learning a little bit about what that how running up front kind of thing and that pacing, and then also putting a setup that kind of matches his experience with what that car needs. And I think this year it showed a little bit better
Mm.
at times, but the time trials weren't quite as good, right? So he had to go
Yeah.
past cars, and I think he passed some cars. What could he have done starting up front some more, right? So like Williams Grove night, right? When he was leading and then lost brakes in front of the field there, he won that race, but it just
Did he?
just put
I
it
don't
all
think he
together.
won that
Not
race. I thought that was
experience
Freddie
matters.
that won that race.
Or did Freddie end up winning it? Oh
Because
yeah,
then Freddie
Freddie shit
dissed him in
talked him in
victory
victory
lane.
lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And he was leading that race, and Freddie didn't know he lost brakes basically. And that makes and Williams Grove is not ideal at the end of a feature most
Yeah.
times. So, but either way, I think it's experience just continuing to grow and make smart decisions as a race team financially that they're on the racetrack as much as they can be. I think it's putting it all together.
Daniel Lee gave Gio Selzy a B. I would go a little bit less than that. He did leave the ride, had a rough year, did all right in the 7BC.
Yeah, they're not great in that car. This weekend
Um,
was horrible.
yeah, we'll see what happens next year as they build a team around him. I think he has talent, but obviously he's probably one of his worst seasons. So I think a B is being a little generous, but it is what it is. Kale Thomas, an A minus from Anonymous.
Thanks for the vote, Kale. Appreciate
Yeah.
the write-in vote.
Yeah, he had a pretty good season. Dave Grube,
It's
A
Alex
for good
Robinson
effort.
if I've ever seen it.
Dave Grube, A for good effort from Dakota Rote. Tanner Holmes, a B from Anonymous. And then Billy Dietrich, a B from Anonymous. Yeah, I don't really disagree too much on all these. Tanner Holmes is definitely going to be a guy to watch. I thought Billy looked really good at times this year as well. Yeah. Any comments on these? No?
Nope.
And then here's a couple bad ones. Anonymous gave Devin Borden a D. Cohen Kreenock gave Devin Borden an F minus. JJ Loss got an F minus from JJ Loss fan, ironically enough. And then Zeb Wise, who didn't race a lap this year, got an F from Anonymous.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah. Devin
Okay.
Borden, I thought, had a decent season. Obviously a different deal with him going out to Ohio, running the All-Stars, bouncing around some rides and stuff. So I think if Santos had him at a B, I'd give him about a B minus or so.
Listen, he gets an A from me for that power washing job he did at Lincoln here recently.
Yeah.
So I saw that video today. That's an A plus job there, my friend.
Real quick, we'll revisit our preseason predictions. We each had some, the win totals and then our predictions. We revisited these at midseason, and nothing really changed too much. I missed all mine. I thought Carson Macedo was going to win the Outlaw title. I thought Jason Persley was going to get 5 wins. And that was a little ambitious, but he did get a win. And then I said all 4 track champions, all 4 track championships between the Grove, Lincoln, Port, and Baps would have first-time champions. And Freddie pretty much ruined that one, and Danny's on the way of ruining that at Baps, so he'll probably lock that up this weekend. Jay-Z, you hit it with 4 first-time winners in Central PA between Michael Walter, Ashton Torgerson, Jonathan Preston, and Cody Hartlob. You said that the posse will not win an outlaw race. Macri won 4, Chase Dietz won 1. So that was way off, but that's a good one to be off about. And then you said Justin Whittle wins the Port Royal Track Championship, which was dead on. He definitely did. Chris said David Gravel does not win the Outlaw title. He was wrong there. Williams Grove will have a first-time track champion. He was right on that with Troy. And then Brian Brown wins Knoxville Nationals, or Darren Pittman wins the National Open. Both of those couldn't be more wrong. But
Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, boys. 2 out
Yeah.
of 3 ain't bad. Let's go. All right, we'll take it.
like I said, I think I was maybe a year early on the Jason Persley thing, but we'll see.
Hey, I was on the hype train. I was gonna hate you for it. We're all fans for sure.
Looking at the over under, man, this is what I was saying. You set some really good lines for a lot of these. Starting with Danny Dietrich, you said a 12.5 over under win. Me and Chris went with the under. You went with the over. Danny was just under that half a win. He had 12. So
You little fucker.
now there is still the final showdown this weekend.
Oh, that's
So
right.
he
He's
could
gonna be
still
back?
hit
He'll be
over
back for this?
technically. So
Come on, Danny. Let's.
and it would not surprise me. So he might actually still win the over.
I'm gonna buy some 48 merch. I'm gonna get this over. I'm gonna get some 48 merch. Let's go.
Freddie with 7 wins was the line, 7 flat. We all said over. He's at 7. So he's another one that could push it over. Right now it's a push.
You set that at 7 and hit.
Yeah.
Goddamn. Let's go.
Anthony Macri, we were wrong on this. 14.5. We all said under. And he actually got 16. He somehow went over. I mean, that was a lofty number, and he knocked it out the park. Lance DeWeese, you set at 3. Me and Chris went with the under. You went with the over, and the under hit with 2 wins. Troy Wagaman Jr., 3.5 wins. We all said over, and he shattered it with 6. Logan Wagner, you set with 5. We all said under, and we all were all right. He had 2. He had 1 at Port, and he had 1 at Lernerville. Brock Zierfoss, 8.5. That was a pretty. We all went with the under, and he only had 2. Matt Campbell with 4 wins. Me and Chris went with the under. Jay-Z with the over. He had 1 win. Justin Whittle, 4.5 was the line. Me and Jay-Z said over. Chris went with the under, and Chris was right with only 2 wins. And then Chase Dietz, 10.5 was the line. Me and Jay-Z went with the under. Chris went with the over, and he was just under with 9. He might, even if he wins this week, he'll be at 10, still hit the under. So some of these could still, Danny or Freddie really could still put those over the top, the change. But yeah, your lines are pretty good.
Not bad for
Your
guessing.
lines were good, but your predictions weren't.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, it's one or the other, I guess. If I knew what was going to happen, I don't know if bookies bet or not on their own lines, but like, I felt
That's pretty tight there.
That's pretty good. That was fun. I might have to do that again. We'll have to do that again for 2026.
Yeah, for sure. And we even adjusted these at mid-season because I think Macri we had over, and then it wasn't looking that way, and we switched back to the under, and that was a mistake because he ended up really going off then. So, yeah,
I think you made, if I remember correctly, I think Jay-Z switched on Lance too.
I think possibly, yeah.
Yeah, someone did. I remember.
So yeah,
interesting. That's fun for sure. Couple that Brock one, I knew it from the start. I fucking knew better. I had hopes. That one there would have made someone a lot of money if that was real.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was more in the 4 to 5 win range there, and he still was under. So yeah, Santos Borden still had 2 wins. Looked absolutely terrible at times, but still showed some speed. JJ Locks looked pretty decent in 39. Yeah, JJ Locks looked pretty good in 39 here. Be interesting. He's another.
Everybody does his first 6 weeks.
And listen, he's another. When we're talking about Cam, we're talking about Logan Rump, we're talking about some of these younger guys. I think you have to throw JJ Loss in there a little bit, as a young guy who can, really be have a good future here.
Yeah, he's a gasser. He knows how to use the right foot for sure.
Yeah. That's gonna do it. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us.
Yeah. Hopefully you can get to work on time tomorrow. Do you have to work? Do you have to get up in like 3 hours?
No, I already called off. No, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us all season long. We will go dark probably till at least after Thanksgiving, and then in December we'll kind of figure out a schedule and what we're gonna do. But we'll take a little bit of a break here. BAPS this Saturday is the final race. Weather's looking better, so get to it if you can. Last chance to see sprint cars. There's going to be some. It looks like Tanner Holmes is in town, so I would imagine he's going to be running in the 13. Probably a couple others. I would imagine. Usually, if the weather's decent, like Brett Marks, probably the Shark cars. Usually is always a fun race. Plus, you got the modifieds. Plus, you got the enduros at the end. Yeah. So
Come to the infield and hang out with us.
yeah, come to the infield, hang out. You could buy your parking pass. It was a really good time last time. So, yeah, excited for that. And yeah, that'll be like the last hurrah. But yeah,
Till February.
till February, pretty much.
Heartbreaker.
But again,
I need
thank
a
you
break.
all. Yeah, thank you all very much. Especially if you sat here the entire 4 hours. We're not gonna do a drink it or dump it. Drink it to all you guys and
Drink it to
everybody into
doghouse
this
racing, baby.
to Doghouse Racing and the 2025 season. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and hopefully we'll see you guys before Christmas.